session for Tuesday, September 26, 2023. For the folks who are here, there's an exit towards the front of the building and an exit towards the rear of the building. And if you will, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start with just to lay out the meeting. So tonight's going to be a work session to discuss the budget. And we're going to focus on the highway budget, which we haven't focused yet as a board. So Peter Rippinger is here. He's going to help us with any questions and we'll go through his budget line items. But yes, it's a work session on the tentative budget. But we'll start with public comment. So anyone here would like to speak? Say your name and Hamlet.
Okay, sure. Hello, neighbors. My name is Erica Agro. I live in Vista. I'm a member of a committee formed by the town to represent the Oak Ridge Water and Sewer District. My husband Gene and I moved here in March of 2018. We fell in love with Vista, but were warned off the area by caring residents who told us that the water district had been neglected by the town, and consequently the water quality was poor and the electricity went out nearly every other week. We were dismayed to learn it was not an exaggeration. In 2020, I created a community group to arm residents with the facts so we could mobilize and press our elected officials to address these issues. What ensued was an onslaught of challenges to our town board, harsh but true criticisms of their handling of the issues at Oak Ridge. We were met with indifference and inaction by the previous leadership, but we would not be deterred. This could have been a story about how poor conditions became worse or how nothing has changed, but it's not. I'm here tonight to offer hope and praise for our water district. Before I list the accomplishments of the town board, I want to recognize Robin Gersten and Jeff Holbrook, tireless fighters for Oak Ridge and Conant Valley, respectively. Tyler Post of VRI, Robert Flores of Delaware Engineering, and Tony Goncalves, town supervisor. Tony took up this mantle, unpopular as it was before he was supervisor, and became the advocate our water district needs. There is more work to be done, but I'm incredibly proud of Tony, our water committee, and my neighbors for not giving up. Now on to the board's accomplishments. With respect to the Oak Ridge Water District, in May of 2021, PFAS mitigation design and construction plans were submitted to the Westchester County Department of Health. The process of securing their approval was iterative and arduous, but the town board persisted. The Westchester County Department of Health approved Delaware Engineering's plans and specifications for our upgraded water plant on August 8th of this year. In a critical parallel effort, the town applied for a federal EPA grant in April 2021 and a New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation's Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant in November of 2022. Our project was awarded both an EPA and an EFC grant in April of 2022 in the amounts of $1.8 and $1.16 million respectively. We have received approvals from both the EPA and the EFC to start the bid process, and Delaware has already prepared the requisite bid specifications. The town board authorized going to bid for the plant upgrade project at the September 18th town board meeting. The bid request will be noticed and advertised this week. With respect to the distribution of our electricity, at the insistence of the water committee, the town met with NYSEG to identify opportunities to reduce outages in the Vista area and advocate for overdue upgrades to the attendant feeder circuit Pound Ridge 455. NYSEG listened. They embarked on a critical hardening of the infrastructure serving the areas of Vista and South Salem, resulting in increased resiliency and reliability and fewer outages. They completely upgraded 9.6 miles of power lines serving 1,600 customers, including upgrading the distribution system from a single phase line to 3-phase lines, allowing for greater capacity. They created self-typing loops to enable customers to receive electricity through multiple pathways. NYSEG also conducted enhanced ground to sky tree trimming to address the multi-year overgrowth of trees, branches, and foliage, directly addressing the leading cause of power interruptions in our area. They installed monitoring and recording equipment at our water plant and the Vista Fire Department to prevent harmful outages. The people of Vista, with Tony's help, turned a story about neglect, about accepting defeat, and about a lack of advocacy into a story about possibilities. We still have so much to do, but let's take this opportunity to recognize how far we've come. Thank you to my fellow Vistans and our supporters. Our hamlet is deserving of good things, and we are prepared to fight for them. Thanks.
Thanks, Erica. Just a note on the bid. The town board had approved it last week to go out to bid. Our town clerk sent out the notice for publishing today.
It'll be in the paper.
So it'll be in the paper Friday.
Mhm.
And it'll be posted on another portal that Delaware uses for these types of bids.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? John?
Good evening. My name is John Winter, Golden's Bridge. Thanks for having me. All goes according to plan. I'll be replacing Peter come January. And I was happy to see, I looked over his budget, kind of been my project of the week studying it. I think he's asking for some great things and I'm really hopeful you're gonna want to give him the money to say, give me the money so I can give it back to the town. I see he asked for 500 for paving. It's a start. Well, we need more, but if I get 500 this year, 600 next year, 700 the year after, we're going in the right direction. Fuel goes up every year, no matter what's going on. It's not going down. We all wish it would. It's not going to. Fuel is a direct relation with pavement. Pavement goes up, the material goes up, the trucking goes up, the price of equipment goes up. It's all related to fuel. I see we're gonna get more money from chips. That's great. Even with that, though, we're gonna be at about 4.5 miles a year we can do. I really think we need to get closer to 7 a year. Pavement's gonna last about 12 years, give or take. And if we were doing 7 a year at 84 miles of road that's paved, we have about 10 miles of dirt, then we'd be on a good plan. And I think if we could head in that direction, that'd be great. I'm not even gonna be in for a few months and all everyone talks to me about is paving. When are you gonna pave this road, pave this road? Half the time people are asking me about 35 and 123 and I have to explain to them, which I'm sure you're exhausted at explaining. That's the state. I'll try to talk to the state and work with you and everyone else on that, but that's not what this money's going to. Unless I missed it, I didn't see a line for new equipment. Was that in there? I missed it. You're doing an awkward laugh. Okay. I like to see the tree work was going up. I actually was learning the other day, it makes a lot of sense. I don't know if everyone else in the room knows this. You cut back your trees, you get more sunlight on the road. More sunlight on the road, it's warmer. Less salt, better for the environment. You can make an awkward tree hugger debate about this. You cut back the trees, there's more sun on the road. We need less salt, less time spent taking care of the roads, less time out in the middle of the night when a tree comes. You were just talking about power outages, less power outages. I think the going up on the tree budget is a great idea. And it makes the neighborhood safer for everyone. Emergencies, power's out, lines are down, trees are down, fire trucks, ambulances, cops can't get places. We cut back these trees, it's a safer town for everyone. So I was happy to see those things were going up. And I'll be curious about the equipment line. It sounds like I'm gonna hear and learn a little bit about that when you have your time. Thanks for having me and look forward to working with everyone in January.
Thanks, John. Thanks, John. Okay,
We do have somebody.
okay.
Simone, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hello. I wasn't going to speak about the water. However, I do appreciate the very fast speech by Erica and her continued efforts. I am hopeful. I have been hopeful in my continued frustration on behalf of my mother and other residents. But so far, I just am speaking facts. The water issue has not improved for my mother and many other people I have spoken to. I unfortunately have had a different experience with Tony. I've had good conversation, but every time I press the water issue over and over, I am being told that I'm the only one complaining. I've actually spoken to people that didn't even know we had a town board. Other people who tell me that they don't complain because no one listens. So I feel a little bit different. I do remain hopeful. I'm hoping that things change. I do hear good things. I haven't seen good things. So I am going to end with, I hope on behalf of all the residents of Oak Ridge that they get clean water. I hope my mother is able to drink water out of her faucet one day. However, it hasn't changed, and that's a fact. So I I just thought I'd share my experience. When I complain, it's not just to make noise, and sometimes I feel that's all it is, white noise. However, I'm begging for people to have clean water in 2023. Dan talks about all these environmental issues he's very interested in, but never the water. So I'm just hoping you do get done what Erica is saying is going to get done, but so far I haven't seen it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Simone. And that's it, Tony.
Okay, great. All right, so we'll start with, I don't have any communications for this evening. And we don't have a consent agenda for the next meeting. So we'll start with new business. So I think what I like to do is Nisha's here, our controller. So do we want to start with the highway line item and give the board an opportunity to?
Yes,
So maybe we can jump to that on that. You're sharing your screen, right?
yes, I can go up to highway and.
I'd like to, if I may, I'd like to do something a little different. You can stop me at any time.
Sure.
Okay. Be going over this budget request.
Hi, look at the music going.
You'd love it, don't you? Okay. First of all, welcome, Tony, town board, to my final and 20th budget that I've done for the town of Lewisboro.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's true. For many years, the highway has requested and has been added to employees. We certainly hope with the new highway superintendent, if it's needed, that will also go ahead. We have been trying to keep up with the fleet of equipment. And this year, we asked for 2 trucks and again, asking for a sweeper. We only hope that the trucks will get up. We have 4 trucks right now that not even made anymore. They're running, they're good, but you're going to run across the jam and it's coming sooner than you think. Each year at the end, I always ask for more for paving because I figure even 500, we should be almost 1 million. Laugh as you may say. I says, but we should be doing close to 9 miles a year and paving. The chips is good, but it's supposed to be to offset us, not to make the budget.
And the equipment we have, we're waiting, we ordered one.
Well, technically I have 2 large trucks ordered, but it has to pass by because right now you can't get trucks. Even as I spoke to the dealers today, they're back ordered. They're not even putting in orders. They're going to wait another month and a half because of the strike with you all. There's parts that you can't get, the rails they can't get for the trucks. That's going to get on and on. So we've got a tentative order. And before, don't destroy it or throw it out, really look into it, okay?
And that order, Peter, sorry to interrupt, it was for 1 truck?
It was for 1, but I jumped it, took 2 because you're not gonna, you can deny it.
Mhm.
But you're not gonna see them for 1.5 years, 2 years, the way this nation is with trucks and cars.
Mhm.
So we haven't committed. We're on, in fact, Arkel Motors, which does the internationals, has only got permission to get 70 trucks this year.
Mhm.
We're down for 2. We refuse it, it's no problem. Somebody will take it.
Right.
As I discussed with you, maybe we'll lease or what, we'll talk about it as that comes up.
So we've essentially placed an order.
Potentially, it's out there for a hold. The moment he calls me, say, do you want it? We say no, somebody else gets it.
And we don't, so we have a projected timetable when we're gonna get it.
Well, projected timetable is next month, and hopefully it'll be, maybe sooner. 1, we know we're doing. Put in for 2 because I think it's the right thing. I really think so, because
Memory as to when we put it in the request.
that request was put in almost 8 months ago.
Thank you.
Almost 8 months ago, and that's where it's still sitting there. Checking with other towns and villages the same way, and called other agencies and different truck lines. It's all the same. And I did a little something different. I'm going to hand it out. Do with it what you think. I went over the budget and I just make it a little easier. I thought for myself, and fine to do whatever you want, but if you wouldn't mind, take a look at it. It's your budget, and as you'll see, it's our budget. If you just pass these around, and then I'll explain to you. Janet, I asked for you. Somewhere around here.
You want to bring these back?
It's the same.
Yes, I have one.
It's the same that's in here. It's this.
Yes and no, he's done.
And I'll explain to you what I did there, and then you can either do it. What I did was I took this is from when Nisha and I went over the budget, and this is September 26th.
Oh, that is up there.
No.
No, she has a copy.
She has a copy.
Yeah.
I just-
Okay.
What I want to explain to you in this, and then you can drop it. We don't have to do it if you don't want to. you'll see on that, there's a few items that were increased are marked in red on that
Red
sheet.
dots.
Those are ones that, yeah, red dots were increased, okay, on the handout. And that is, as you see, gasoline, we'll go over that, water, OSHA, hardware, and electricity. We decreased the salt line, as you see there, okay? Now, the ones in green are the ones we don't really have control over, because that's all your wages, your health benefits, and such like that. So if you want, we can do that, or we can do line by line, however you see you'd rather do it. I just thought it would, here was my budget, I did it up and wrote it out.
So I guess we'll bring up, because this is the one that she needs to edit.
Okay.
So, but we'll match up with what you just handed out. So let's go to the highway,
Yes,
Section.
highway.
Okay. right? So, yeah, so go ahead and, yeah, so the top, that doesn't change, right?
That's the general liability, yeah, for the town,
Yeah.
and then contingent account is basically, I'm budgeting for anyone who's retiring or. Lesser amount than previous years, so just 30,000,
And just to elaborate on the contingent account, this is similar to what we did last year.
yes.
We always put in an amount that we can use for, your example,
Unexpected,
unexpected expenses.
Expenses that occur during the year, so for
Yeah.
example, somebody retires or any expense which we are not expecting. That's the 30,000, so we reduce this.
Rainy day.
Yes, rain day, correct, so,
But this is specific to insurance only.
yes,
Well,
that's brown.
it's insurance and contingency.
Oh, so it's contingency for the whole department.
Correct.
Yes,
Uh-huh. Okay.
From a, like a best practices perspective, is that number based on anything? Should it be a certain ratio of it, anything or?
I'm just assuming at least one person retire every year, so that's what I'm putting that number.
Okay.
So usually. Sometimes there are expenses, some lines go over the budget, some lines go under the budget, so. This value I think should be fine.
Yes, the 1% answer the
Yes.
question. Okay.
I've reduced it from the previous year, so just to match up the budget, I haven't changed it. That's what I requested and that's what. So,
And just kind of fill in that whole picture, for the general fund and the rest of it. We generally consider the contribution to surplus as the contingent account.
we have a contingent
Actually,
account, general fund.
There's
We do
also,
have, yes.
there's also a contingent account in addition to the.
In addition to this, yes,
Okay, that I didn't follow.
Well, when you say contribution to surplus, you mean a line item? That's it.
There's a line item in there.
yes, it's called fund restoration.
Fund
account.
restoration.
Yes,
Yeah,
we do
sorry.
have that.
But they're separate from that, there's also.
Yes.
All right,
Because I cannot transfer the funds between A and B, so I have to keep it separate.
in terms of the highway in general,
Yes. I
right,
cannot move
but
it.
in the general,
Mhm.
do we also have a contingency?
Yes, general
We do.
fund restoration.
As
account.
well,
Only the fund restoration.
Yes,
That's the,
That's-
so,
single line.
all right, so
That's a
that's
single
what I
item.
was
Yeah.
yes.
getting at, yeah,
Yes.
okay, got it.
You mean in the greater budget or just in the highway budget?
The general
The
budget.
general
Okay.
budget. Okay, so you wanna go ahead with the lines or do you want me to?
No, you
He wants
step
me to
through
do
it,
it,
and
so.
then we'll get to where
Okay.
he made changes.
So
You may.
keep maintaining mechanic wages, that's 209, that's based on the salary, longevity is based on the union contracts, there's no negotiation, no changes to that.
Yeah, and again, a point I want to make is that we had three
Three.
union agreements that have been ratified,
Yes,
actually. Close to
Close
four.
to
We'll
four.
Get in.
This includes the four,
yes,
and those are union agreements that had, and their term ended in 2020.
Mhm.
So those wages stayed flat, 21, 22, 23.
Mhm.
Until the ratification of those agreements,
yes,
and so now we have,
the correct value which we.
the
are
salary
budgeting.
increases, right, for 2024. That are reflected in here. Whereas for the prior 3 years, there were no salary increases
Yes.
for unions, so that's the
3
big
year.
ticket item that's hitting us hard.
And the term
So
of
you're
the,
saying this, that we have to pay the retro pay for the years that
Retro
we're
pay
not
is-
agreed on?
Yeah,
Or
right,
This is just
This is just
what
the
was set on for
Yes.
2024.
correct.
Yes.
a term of the,
2024. The salary line. Go back where it is.
Correct, right, yeah,
So like, whatever,
And then-
12% over 4 years.
yes.
Yes.
the
Yes,
term of
that's why
the
it's
term of the
actually-
signed agreement goes until,
Of the new signing
Yeah,
agreements,
so it's-
25, I think 25, and I think the PBA was 26.
So this is through 25, this is through
I
25.
think there's, yeah, I'd have to check, but I think 3 5s and a 6, yeah.
Yes. Okay, I don't. The next is longevity based on the union negotiations that we're doing right now for the next year. Office expenses have to remain the same, school training, everything up there hasn't changed much. School training 1,500, office cleaning $3,000, CDL license renewal, just $50 up from the last year. First aid supply has gone $150. No significant changes in those lines. If you go to salaries, MEO wages, that has gone based on the same.
Actually, just one item, actually. John had communicated with me, John, maybe just about additional training request for looking to increase that to, I think, about 3,600, I think.
Yeah, there were some classes that I had no idea were going on, so.
Yeah, if I can jump in,
Yeah.
I responded to his, it was at, I guess, me, but I think all of us. We have courses that are provided by our insurance carrier.
Yeah,
So.
we're doing in November.
Right, so what we're gonna do, and I said to John, what we'll do is we'll see what additional courses that we don't have access to through the existing policy that we have. And then we can look at offering those the following year.
Maybe we get some opportunity to select within order category that comes under the insurance.
Correct, and maybe there's some additional, and so I had him, so Kerry looked into it for you, which she provided you the information, or provided us the information. But he went out and received the quote anyway through company that offers, yes, we have that, yeah.
Just wanted to bring that up since we're on our line. Okay, thanks.
So the next,
Just of the, so you looked at the insurance offerings versus what John was laying out. Were there, I mean, were there any sort of highway specific that are, really something that we want to look at for safety or efficiency purposes where there's, I mean, I'm thinking.
I don't have the list top of my head, I have to look, but I think there were a couple that.
My big thing was the flagging, just so that everyone's safe and knows what.
Yeah.
There we go, because, right.
You come in April, you contact Cornell School of Roads. And they'll send you the literature and everything and run a program on
Right.
it. Okay. They've been down since the COVID, but now they're coming back.
So if there's, one or two like that, and I think we should still consider throwing them in here, but let's try to isolate them.
Yeah, we can do that, yep, okay.
okay,
So just to be clear, the $1,000 that's reflected in the budget is over and above what the classes are that are already provided, covered by insurance. And that's the discrepancy that we're discussing in the
Correct.
class. Yeah.
Fix the 1,500.
Got it. Yes,
MEO wages has gone up based on the contract. Longevity has gone down because there were two full-time employees who retired this year. Overtime has gone a little higher, $1,920 to be exact. There's a seasonal help request, but we budgeted a little less. We adjusted it minus 10,000 for that. So I don't know if there's any more room to cut down that.
Which one are you talking?
The seasonal, you
So
said,
you already cut the season.
yeah,
As I explained to you, I put in for seasonal because our seasonal makes $15 an hour. They can go to Burger King and flip burgers. And not come here. It's hard to get the kids here. The average rate should be close to $17 an hour for a road worker, a kid coming out of college. If you want, we put in for 4, we're lucky we get 3. And that's why I upped it, because I think in fairness, they look at us and walk. I mean, it's a seasonal. Sometimes you get them 10 weeks, sometimes you get them 8 weeks. You may not spend it all, but you got to be able to get them. There are college kids.
and these are folks that are helping on site, for example, with directing traffic or flagging.
They do traffic, they do weed whacking, they do all the menial stuff that you don't want a $60 an hour person doing.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what they do. They clean the shop, they clean the trucks. And I say, a lot of mowing.
Yeah.
And they're needed, they really are.
As we go to contractual expenses, gasoline and diesel fuel, just 3,000 raise, oil, water reserves, recovery, $7,000, grave and sand, 55,000. Vital leases, we don't have any leases as of now, so that's why we're budgeting at 0. Work clothing, this is based on the contract. OSHA clothing, 1,700, it hasn't changed much. Tree work, it's gone from 50,000 to 100,000. And we've already crossed the budget for this year, so that's why maybe it's budgeted a little higher, but we still reduced it, adjusted it minus
To 80.
20,000.
How much have we spent year to date?
I've got the year to date.
I can check.
It's gone. I don't think I need
Here today, we crossed the,
Yes,
definitely the 23 budget.
Yeah.
yes.
It's,
It might. There was that.
I think it was close to 80,
the trees aren't stopping.
yeah. So, but I mean, we did a good job this year.
Yeah, but what we did was we contracted out twice, remember the ash trees?
Yeah.
And the board footed, that was great.
Yeah,
Now you're gonna keep up with what's coming down on the side and stop it from
There
some.
was some
You got
ash
a letter the
trees.
other day, one, and that was a road we cleaned up.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's gonna be a lot worse now because it's raining so much and as it gets cold.
Exactly.
Or the ground is just.
It's gonna be a mess.
It's, if you don't use it, which you will probably, then you're off it, but you're gonna need it. Rather have it than come to you for it when he,
So this
it's not fair to the new guy.
The component we're talking about is switch maybe from ash disease related now, so that's.
Oh, yeah, it's trees in general.
Now it's- Yeah, but now it's more just.
Oh, you still got the ash trees that we didn't take down are still coming down. I mean, quite readily.
By
The other day when it rained, there was two of them, boom, you know.
To answer your question, tree work was by July 84,000, close to 84,000.
Yeah.
That's the actual numbers that I have from 2023.
By July.
By July. By July.
Oh, so we still got half.
Oh, sorry, August 10th, by August 10th.
I always-
Okay.
So it might.
Nonetheless, the
cross
whole,
budget,
the
yes.
whole sort of, you know.
So we just budgeted 50,000 last year and we've already close to 84,000.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the 100 is actually the better number because there's not gonna be fewer storms. There's gonna be more storms.
I'd like to say so.
They get worse.
So do you wanna bring it back to?
So we
remove
budgeted
that?
80 this.
The
yes,
budgeted-
after-
We lower that by 20.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're already over that.
Yeah, I tried for 100, you went to 80, that's right.
Is there? Weird question, but I know, is there any way to get trees removed aside from? By the piece, as it were? In other words, is there any way to do it that somebody work like a more of a fixed amount, either for time or?
Well, it is,
An
usually-
area.
it is by the tree.
Yeah,
It's-
well,
It's like they'll say.
Well, let me
like
put it
50
for the
trees
contract,
for-
the guy that we had that takes our trees down, it comes for $850
So
a day.
let me give a, like, maybe totally unrelated example. So like if you have, so you'll have a contractor that does snow and ice removal for a season. You're paying based upon amount of time, like per month, so it can be, I guess, Russian roulette. That the snow and ice contractor may get sitting and do really well. Or may get really burned based upon the weather situation. So is there any way to make that not a barrier?
We went out, as you guys know, and got bids to remove 25, 46 trees. That was great, and it worked out well. It came in, blitzed 46 trees, but behind the 46 trees, you're gonna have another 40 trees, or 20, or 10, or 15. You really can't,
Like, and the.
Right now, you're-
Boil down your idea, what you're sort of trying to do is like. Pass the risk on to the vendor in a sense, like here, do all this, at a fixed price. And for a lot of these guys, I think that's not.
A fixed price or a fixed time or a fixed area, or is there any way to control the expense aside from?
I mean, if I'm somebody bidding on that, I gotta add some margin on there because of that risk. Whereas if you just, in our case, it's painful, but we pay for what we pay for, and then you're not paying the risk margin in there. So you're sort of better off like taking the risk and paying for what you need to pay for it, than to say like, give me a price, like you're gonna cover everything.
But also, like I know from my HOA, so we've had a lot of tree removals over time, and I've heard even companies we use in town. That they want to make sure their employees who they're paying are fully with them too. So that I'm bringing that because does that create any opportunity to make sure that the employees for a tree removal company or business any flexibility? It's just, the answer may be no, it's just,
I mean, that's something that we can continue to play with and go out and say, but I don't know that we're the answer to that.
Yeah, your point
I
is
mean,
well
with
taken.
the
for
bid,
risks.
that's when we established the guidelines, right? And so whether it's,
And I will tell you, NICEAG has done a lot for us, more so than they do for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, they really cooperate with us, they do things, we help them out, take some of our wood, they take the trees, so we've got a good working relation. If we had to do what they're doing for us on some of the things, you'd be surprised.
And they're very
Like they keep
responsive,
that.
even.
They're very responsive.
Complaints
if you treat them
from
that.
residents, as long as it's within their right of way, they get over there pretty quick.
All right, well, this is not the last discussion we have on this, but my
Yeah.
inclination is like, we've already over, like, let's not.
Yeah.
Like,
All right, so let's adjust, let's take out that.
I think that makes sense. I also support the decision to bring it back up to 100,000.
Back to zero.
Okay, then sign and post $8,000 hasn't changed. Hardware maintenance $1,000 increase. So the net has changed a lot. So let's go to permanent improvement.
You said that changed a lot, that's between the budget 2023
2023
to 25,
2024. Yes.
by 200 and almost $220,000. Okay.
Yes. So these are the major lines, road repair and maintenance, 110, it's gone up to 30,000 extra from last year, budgeted value. If there's any margin and.
What comes within, what's?
I was gonna say.
What comes within that category?
The overtime,
No, the road repair and maintenance.
road repairs, all that, all the smearing we do, all the patching we do, all the gutties we do, and repairing basins and pipe work, everything beside blacktop. You know, major blacktop, you have to have that, because right now, that's what we're working on, because we have such a low paving line, we're using that to try to make up for some of it.
Is there any way that we can quantify the amount of productivity or work we've gotten, say, for the 80,000 versus what we're talking about 110?
Oh, yeah, I mean, if I was to bring up every foreman's report and what they've done, it would show it. That's how I quantify it, I have to put it down every day where we go and what we do.
Yeah, I've looked at some of those, so.
I mean, it's down, it's in writing, and it's just a matter of,
Mhm.
I mean, if you look around, you'll see it.
Yeah.
What they're doing. I mean, I can't, for the amount of money that's there and what they're doing out on those roads to keep them going, it's amazing. That's all I'm gonna say.
So the three major lines, road surfacing and paving, 500,000, which is a drastic increase, almost 320,000, and tips is basically it's washing off, so we are not really concerned about
That's what we
that.
got from the state.
And that should be a wash.
That's a wash. Mhm. Then mulch and debris.
Mulch is what's going on.
90,000. So these are the three lines that we are suggesting that we reduce it somehow, maybe.
Well, so let's just have a discussion about this line. So the 500,000, Peter, we talked about the list of roads, your list.
I got a list, right? And you have a list,
And
yeah.
I have a list of, just based on what I'm hearing from residents who contact me directly. And then I go out and actually take a look. But with the list that you gave me, how many miles of road is that? There were,
What was it, 500? You're
it
probably,
was 6 roads, actually 5, because one you said we could hold off on.
yeah, if you, with that 5, you're just about 4, a little over 4 miles right
4
now,
miles.
for area. You're looking at about 110 a mile almost. That depends on the cost that comes up
Yeah.
this year. I don't know.
So if you include a 6th, because we talked about putting another road onto that list of 6, that was approximately $500,000. So those
Depending on the size of the road, yeah.
yeah, would potentially eat up that budget line.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Then you got your chips.
and then you have the chips, which would
As
potentially.
long as you don't
we
put
have
the
to
chips
price
against
out.
that.
Yeah. So the chip, yeah, we have a couple of other, we
Yes.
talked about some roads over.
There's a couple over there that you want to cover, and you're probably, and like I said, excuse me, the winner will tell you everything. I can write out the list. We got it. We've been following this program for years.
Mhm,
But if Mother Nature slots you in the wintertime, and
Right,
you got a road that blows up, then you got to change
Right.
gears.
right.
Now, for the folks at home, the chips is the
Oh.
money that we get from the
state.
state.
Consolidated Highway Improvement Funds that the state gives every town some bit. Now, we've been very fortunate. We've been around 300, 320, 340, down to 250. It depends on the governor and what they're allotting out every year.
But let's just.
And we
go
know in
back to
April. We
the-
usually know in
to the
April.
Basic
And
math
that's-
again that John did for us, and you're talking about, we need to do, 8-9 miles a year. And if they average $110,000 a mile, which sounds actually even a little low to me relative to like what we heard.
Actually, John's figure was less than that.
Well, we had.
Here, take them.
So.
I don't know. I don't know.
You're okay with that?
That's picking up on the same math. My understanding, we have
But-
84 miles of road, town roads, right? So,
And it's 12.
84 miles of paved
The
roads.
state recommends 10% a year.
No, so 84 miles of paved roads, and we're going under the predicate that it's a 12-year road life expectancy, so you're doing the 84 divided by 12, which is 7, based upon my math. So what we're talking about here, if you had the 500 and the 300 for the chips at a 110
5 or 6.
per year, that's a 7 and change. So that actually is that would be a little bit better than on track for.
Actually, a little bit less, because he said 10% from the state, which would be 8.4 miles.
Well, no, but we're going based upon
Need.
the actual, what we've the actual work life expectancy and the amount of miles. And the idea is that if we're on a 12-year cycle, all the roads are gonna get redone within their road life expectancy.
You'd like to say that.
And then,
Like
yeah.
Yeah,
It's getting there.
we recognize
So-
John, and John was. Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yes, John wanted to time out,
Oh.
asking permission to recognize.
Oh, yeah, you want
I
to,
didn't know how the protocol, I was raising my hand like I was in school.
yeah,
I just wanted to say, unless.
you need to get up to a mic. So people
Well,
on
I
Zoom,
think it's a moment, I just wanted to ask.
yeah, people on Zoom can't hear you. But let's,
I'll wait till he's done, I don't want.
all right, yeah, let's wait,
That's
just-
our
yeah. So based on, if we keep the 500,000 for paving with the chips, that's 800,000. We will, without knowing what this.
You'll be better than
my
last year.
list-
You'll be better than last year.
Yeah, and I don't know how many miles are on my list of roads, but with the 4 miles on yours, we could potentially be at about 7 miles.
Close to 7.
Yeah,
It's not that.
Are some of, on that list, are some of those the ones that you showed me?
yeah,
I
the
don't-
ones that, so one of them, for example, is at a development where.
I would be very
there's
careful mentioning
water-
the names.
No, we're not,
Okay.
we're not gonna.
Please don't do that.
One of them, I know there's a potential of that road being torn up, so we don't wanna
Correct.
pave it if it's gonna get torn up.
And the ones that you and I went to see aren't even on that list, and they were pretty bad.
Yeah, and you know what that is, and these are even worse.
Yeah,
We went through a lot on it, we drove around,
Okay.
and they're just,
Yeah.
we're doing what you can with what you got it. And the list I gave you of all the roads we've done,
Yeah,
throughout the years, it's getting there, but you gotta keep adding to it. You gotta keep adding to it.
This is 100% by outside contractors.
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Okay, so is there a way during the process to, based upon what we're identifying, to get any kind of preliminary proposal to indicate what the cost actually is gonna be at this point in time?
Oh, I can give them the roads in another month and a half, they'll come up and measure them out and try to quantify it for us.
I mean, it's a big enough job.
No, they're all, he does it every year for us, because we have to have a ballpark. We gotta know what we're up against on tonnage.
so let me ask you this, so when we go out to bid on these, correct?
Correct?
So do you go out to bid with all the roads that are on your list for the year?
Yep, all those roads, whatever we compass and yours, they go out. He does the tonnage, we measure it, we do it, we walk the road.
So the ones that you did this year, it was about 8 roads,
And they
Yeah.
look good.
those
Yeah.
were all
And they were in bad shape.
under one bid.
Yeah. You bid once a year,
Yeah,
okay, and whoever the lowest bidder is the one we get. And you've had the same guy, Clove, now for at least the last 7 years.
right,
He does well with us. It's not a matter of
yeah.
price.
The 9 roads we did in 23, how many miles were those total?
About in 2023, about 4.6, 4.7, right in there. They were little roads. Boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom,
yeah.
boom, all.
I think so.
Need a lot of walkers.
So how many
Made
bids?
a lot of walkers happy.
Give it the low bid, how many bids did we get last year's bidding process?
3.
Peter, as we increase the number of miles we're doing, are there associated costs with drainage and things like that?
Yes,
Bound to go up?
yeah.
Right.
Basins and pump, that's why you'll see it in there. I mean, every road we do, we either put a new top on it, if the pipe's rotted, we gotta pull it. This year they did over
So
300
that's
feet.
what we're seeing in there for that.
Yeah, you'll see as you go through the,
500.
as you see on the basins and pipe, I'm going up on that, so that's,
Okay, those are time.
and we keep a good stock, so we try to keep ahead of it.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll need to decide, and we have time.
You got time, is whatever you got in the money, and that's what we decide.
We want to keep this here as part of the budget, or do we want to,
You can't go wrong, put more money into the black.
right, borrowing, if we were looking, if our goal is to stay within the cap, then we should borrow. And the debt service on that borrow won't hit until 2025. We borrow
Yes.
next year.
And the
And
bond,
we'll
there's
certainly
one.
protest on that one, certainly if we go that direction.
I know.
Yeah,
that's-
that's what we need to, these are the options that, when I sat down with Misha, those are the options we have, right?
Can she just explain that?
So the scenario is that the salaries have increased 12% from 2020. And now all of a sudden, there's a 12% increase. So that salary increase in itself is taking up the whole tax cap. Unless and until there's another way of funding it, or there's additional revenue coming in, this request wouldn't be able to be, we would not be able to get to it unless we make a ban. And for 24 months, we don't have to pay. So for example, we decide, say we have to borrow 500,000 next year, their payment will happen the following year. And by then we have a bond which is getting released and 250 will go down. And so we'll try to just.
1,000 goes
yes,
away.
goes
from
away
debt
from that.
service.
So our net difference, I'm not accounting 2.1 million sidewalks. So overall, our net position might not change that much if we go for a ban. So, but in 2025, maybe there'll be some bans which need to be converted into bonds. Right. So it's the financial position. Looking forward, I think.
Right, bands do have to be converted into bonds after. a certain
After
period of
5
time.
years, but for water, I think there's no restriction. You can continue them as ban forever till the time you see the feasible rates to convert them into bond. Yes, but I would highly recommend that if we go for a ban for this, if these are essential, necessary for us to do, rather than putting in the budget and moving the tax cap over and above, we ban against it. And we're fine with the next year budget and next year budget.
What's,
Will be good.
just as far as understanding options, so in our, I
Mhm.
didn't look ahead to see in our general contingency
Mhm.
fund,
Mhm.
what do we have in there?
Oh,
A reserve, you mean?
Yeah, because we're putting that into it, right?
The reserve is about 4 million, right?
No, that's not, no, is there a line where we're adding to that this year, right, or not?
the fund restoration
Yes.
funds, yes, we have that line and it's close to 90,000, that's what I remember.
It's
but
at the
I-
bottom of the general
Yes.
fund.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're not there yet. We're in the middle
Yes,
of the.
that's
Okay,
just,
just- Okay, so, right.
Let's.
Yeah, I just want to see what that, yeah,
oh, yes.
no, it ties it down.
Otherwise, we'll be here until.
Yeah, we
Yes.
can't do that.
Okay, I would recommend that we go for a ban and because the 24 months we can waive off the payment and probably we can go for a next budget where we have a margin to make those debt payments.
Okay, so what you're saying is for this amount of money, these 4 lines,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Or 3 lines, we'll decide,
Mhm.
we go for a ban at the beginning of next year. Right?
Yes,
And then
yes.
when we get to the budget process towards the end of next year, we can then add
Mhm.
a line item back in for roads. Because we might have then room since the
Yes.
increase, right? Because now
Increase
next,
his salaries.
Right,
Won't be
yes,
as dramatic.
and
Yeah,
so we'll have a little bit
yeah.
more space,
Yeah.
so then we can then add on to that line item in next year's budget.
Yes, we might,
If
yes,
we
at
need
that
to.
time we might have room. But currently we don't have room, so let's go for the ban
I
and
understand.
so that we can.
So in other words, if I'm understanding, we have a year window
Yes.
that, in other words, we're reserving our ability to borrow the money. But in the year, if things are more favorable as far as the budget, we
Mhm.
could reduce the amount we're gonna borrow
Yes, correct.
accordingly.
Yes,
Okay.
we can always decide when the ban is getting issued in April. Before that, 2 months before the line, we can decide how much we want to borrow. And we'll be paying just the interest against the money that we borrow, not for the whole money that we're looking for. So for example, you clear a resolution saying 2.1 million for the sidewalks. Unless and until we borrow the whole money, we are not paying any interest on that money.
Right, until we actually.
Until and we actually take that money.
So here's my question, how does that work? with the timing of when we have to pay. Obviously, we're not paving in January, February, March, right? Paving season starts April, I would.
We try to do it July and August when school starts.
So yes,
Yes.
what I want.
So I would recommend that we reduce these lines and make it towards the ban and we borrow it next year and we have 24 months time frame to go ahead and schedule the payments and we have room for our budget to come under the tax cap.
And it doesn't have to be all the lines, so we can have
Yes.
a combination of, for example.
Yes.
Like right now with, you know, with prior to this, actually with the change we just made, we're about $512,000 above the tax cap. So we would reduce, for example, the highway, I mean, the 500,000 in the highway fund budget. And that'll get us close.
So maybe, yeah.
Budget.
We don't want to eliminate it, we don't want to put
No, no.
it back as it was last year.
Yes, correct. So that we are within the tax cap and we have money to do the.
Can I just like probe around this math again for a second? If we're doing this, and normally I'm against bonding for the roads, but I see what you're trying to do in terms of the
Mhm.
salary increase. But the salary increase doesn't go away next year,
It
right?
doesn't, but
But our total expense is still up at
Yes.
that level, so it's
But-
not like that money is gonna get freed up, like if we spent it, like it's a one-time thing and it's freed up.
Right, but
It's
this
still
year it's
there.
eating up the tax cap because it's so significant because it covers the past several
It
years.
it won't
So-
well.
Right,
next
but
year.
you're next year, you're still kicking the ball down the road because you're trying to, you know, fungible this out by reducing the hit from the roads. But then you're saying, well, then we can put the roads back in, but we'll be back in the same exact
So-
position. again.
Not necessarily, because the hit that we have now is from the salary increases, right?
Right.
So next year, when you compare 2025 with 2024, you're not gonna have a drastic difference
It
in
won't be a
salary.
12% increase.
so then the
But the amount you're increasing now will still be there. We're trying to balance that out by reducing the road budget. And then saying like, but next year we'll be able to put it back in. But that
That
amount's still there.
Your salary's gonna be the same this year.
But
It's not
or more.
it's not going, it's not gonna,
you're not
Break
making a
the-
tax cap.
by the increase, by the.
next year, there'll be again tax cap, there'll be a difference, there'll be a margin. So currently, we are dealing with the salary increase and we are trying to take that margin towards the salary increase. Next year, we'll have again 2 point something, which is the basic margin that we have for the tax cap. So we'll have that margin to go forward and look for it. So for example,
Doesn't work.
Let me, yeah.
from last year, it was 8.2 million, the tax levy. Right now, it's 8.4, so it will go up in the significant manner next year. Then we'll have much room because we have already accounted for the stat. So this year, the salary increase will take on.
Well, you have so you have an additional 2% or something.
Yes,
But
yes.
everything else can go up 2% too, and
So-
insurance and everything like that. So it's
One
not
of-
like we
Assume,
can count, you know, that we can. spend
Right,
that.
yes, we'll have more room.
But,
to increase
assuming based
and
upon current,
Far less than what we're anticipating we need right now. So by the time we get there and we float these bands, we get the bands.
Yes.
we Might find out that we'll need to borrow less.
So
I think we're-
one of the bond is getting released, it's getting over, so we have that margin of 250K, 250,000 to look for that money and
All right,
get it
now,
done.
so you're saying we're gonna drop some other.
There's a debt
Yes.
payment which is going off in next to next year. So we'll be accounting for that and then from there we can pay off his
So it's
back,
really- yeah.
somewhat, whichever one we are.
So 2025 is that $250,000 debt service
Mhm.
goes away,
Goes away in 2025, yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
which then.
So then we'll have a little more margin, we'll have the tax cap and that margin to account.
Sorry,
for.
anyway,
2%.
we can move on. I just wanted to
Yes.
Yeah.
put it on this side of it, because make sure people understand the salary increase.
So our debt is not changed.
Yeah.
so just for total cost, assuming interest rates as they are now, and
Mhm.
let's say we went forward and
Yes,
we went ahead with the ban.
yes,
What
that
would
is
it-
much
what-
better.
Right, so what would the total costs be over the life of the ban based upon the amount of years?
So ban after 5 years, we have to convert it, and that's how I showed for the 2.1 million. It goes up to 250 every year. If we are borrowing 2.1, it's 250 per year for the next 10 years. That's how we are looking at it.
But
So
that
I
was for
have
the
it-
2.1, that's not for the.
Yeah,
I'm saying
that's not for the
I'm
height.
saying-
I didn't get the number.
I'm saying this, like the line that's
Mhm.
here is 500,000, so
Yes.
that costs us 500,000,
Mhm.
costs the town 500,000.
Well,
Yes.
if you borrow, it doesn't take $100,000. The debt service is gonna be.
No, that's what I'm getting, it's
So the
it costs 500, there's no interest on that, so what I'm asking, if we did a ban alternatively. The
We
500
pay
that we,
interest on the.
right, that's what I'm trying to get an idea,
Yeah.
based upon current interest rates, over the
So
cost over the cost of the life of the
Life,
ban.
yes,
Based
yes.
upon interest rates now, what is the total cost of what, essentially the principal and the
What
interest?
is the interest rate right now?
3.6 something. for
So,
that.
I mean, this is something that should be understood too, it's just, we're basically doing this on behalf of the taxpayer, right?
Yeah.
So, tax cap notwithstanding, you're saying, we don't want to hit you with this much, but on your behalf, we're gonna borrow this money, which will cost you that 3%. So we are increasing ultimately the amount that the taxpayer
But
pays.
it's
But we're experts at
spread
figuring out.
over the time frame, the term,
Yeah.
for example, highway, whatever they determine. It'll
Sure.
be spread over the 5 years or 10 years or 15 years of term to pay that off. So
Sure.
it'll be divided. It's not like 500,000 right away where we are pressurizing the taxpayer.
But
to
I'll
pay
just
that.
point that out,
Yes.
that's a thing.
Well, that's, that's, yeah, reducing.
But then, yeah, you have.
Any mortgage payment or
Yes.
car payment or whatever
Yes,
else,
yeah.
you can say, when you go into how much you willing to pay, and then they can adjust the terms,
Correct.
saying.
And
And
then
then
the other piece people maybe should understand, like the 500,000, if we have 4,000 households in town.
Mhm.
It's probably about, it's an average of $125 a household. On your tax bill, which is not insignificant, but that's what we're talking about here. It as an absolute number,
Mhm.
percentage always sounds worse, but.
Yes, it's at any kind of mortgage, you have to pay 3.6% on that going forward. And then once it converted into the bond, the day it gets converted, that rate will apply, and from there it's going to go for the term. So it's divided, that's how it's, if you cannot afford something right away, you divide and you try to get it to all the residents, that's what it is.
Mr. Ribbon, you're a lawyer, yours serving right now, do you care which way we get the money?
Just get it.
Okay.
As a taxpayer for 60 some odd years, just get it.
And
Whether we raise your taxes.
I don't care.
Borrow, okay,
so
If it's for something like that, don't have a problem.
okay.
again, the road repair and maintenance line for the 110, that
I'm
is,
sorry, where are you?
I'm in.
That's
5-1.
So is the road repair and maintenance, the 110,000, is that for materials that we're buying? What exactly?
Yeah, that's for the materials that you're using to, anything that you're doing out on that road beside an overall blacktop.
And
Labor's
the
okay.
gas to run the truck.
No, well, it's all the material that you're going to use on that road. That's what has to be done on the
Labor is not included.
No. Labor's fixed. You've got your labor.
Exclusively material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exclusively stuff is what I'm
Yeah,
getting at,
stuff,
okay.
Okay,
Next.
so let's move on. I mean,
Yeah.
so we have to,
So I'm not suggesting that we reduce 180 to 0. I'll be suggesting we keep it at 180 and whatever rest is, we bond. Yeah, as a fact. Then same trees, 90,000, it has increased from 55,000 to 90,000. Catch basin and pipe from 45 to 60,000. Overall, it's gone from 610 to 106.1 million. Mechanic wages is as per the contract, which has gone lower because one of the mechanic retired.
Well, we have a full-time, correct.
Yes, so that's the reduction. Longevity, same reason. Vehicle repair maintenance, it's 130, same, it hasn't changed. Electricity had gone a little higher based on the cost that we're receiving. Heating and fuel, 11,000. Telephone, same, 400, hasn't changed much.
What we just on the vehicle and equipment repair, do we know we are year to date?
You're super, you're getting there.
year to date on vehicle repair.
Oh,
You know,
110.
have that on your highlights.
What was it? 500?
Vehicle equipment, that's it.
Stayed the same. Where am I?
5130 or 400.
It was on track, 73,000.
I'm sorry, what line?
70, well, this is a different worksheet, but it's the vehicle equipment repair.
So incurred to date is 73 and change.
This was almost end.
So that's.
You're online.
So that's that's 2/3.
Yeah, and we're
So
not asking for.
extrapolating, that's about like 115, 120, right?
Let's be optimistic.
No, but that's-
You wait till you shoot
Gotta
for
be
margin and
optimistic.
go up to next.
Then we'll,
I think we'll be under the budget,
I
we'll be
wouldn't.
fine, I guess. I'm not hoping that we'll cross it. Rest.
but maybe we have that's an area where we can,
Right, so I'm saying there's,
we can take some out.
Right.
potentially.
Oh, you want to reduce?
Yeah, that's his point, yeah, because we're ahead of budget right now.
So,
Right now, but you're still under winter coming.
Yeah.
yes,
but
And-
yeah,
Yeah, but you're still going to, I mean, here's what I'm trying to say. Right now, even in the auto industry, trying to get parts,
yeah.
you know, and the prices are going up. If you feel comfortable with that, I wouldn't, but if you feel comfortable with that.
If you can't get parts, you can't fix the
No,
vehicle.
what I'm saying is you can't get, yeah, but you're paying heavy for what you're getting.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
yeah, okay.
That's all I'm saying.
so $5,000 from that.
You want to reduce?
Well, go back, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, do what you,
Buck and a quarter.
Minus
it's
5,000.
John's budget.
That's what we're looking at? 5,000?
You know,
Yeah. Okay with that.
Electricity has a little higher, as we discussed, heat and fuel, same 11,000, telephone $400. Overtime revenue has gone higher. From 145 to 162, snow removal and outside contractor is the same. Salt has gone lower, we've reduced it based on the fact that we have stock
So
from the previous year.
Peter, on the salt, if we have a mild winter like last winter.
You'll drop it again.
It'll drop, so
Yeah.
last year I took a chance and I slashed this quite a
Yeah,
bit.
didn't
Should I
you?
take another chance?
But don't do it this year yet, okay?
See what there's.
Please.
Mayor,
I don't have to worry
I know, I know. Yeah, surplus.
Surplus, which we're probably gonna need this winter.
The conditions that we have the salt in the salt dome, is there a perishable issue? I mean,
No.
can salt be there for 5 or 10 years as it exists?
Like you're a little hard and you have to bounce it around a bit. No, it's okay.
Okay, I mean,
It's got a roof, it's got sides,
so it's.
and we turn it.
Okay.
Okay. Magnesium chloride
Magne- yeah.
3,500. It hasn't changed. Meal ticket 5,500 hasn't changed. Flow maintenance 18,000, nothing changed. Storm trailer $5,000, nothing changed. Employee benefits, we cannot, it's the state retirement projections, so we cannot touch those values. Social security is based, it's again the same component. Workers' compensation is same. Disability is hasn't changed, $600. Cigna value hasn't changed, $1,000. Hospital and medical insurance. So I reduced hospital and medical insurance, which I budgeted 15% last time, to 12%. So I've reduced it 3% for highway and general fund.
So when the requested it was 15%
Yes.
increase and you lowered it to 12% increase.
Yes, yes, because they recently lowered it in June, so I'm expecting that they won't go beyond 12%, hopefully. There's a
What was lowered in June?
night shift,
Oh, yeah?
the health benefit, yes, they went 2 point something percentage down.
but you won't know until November.
Yes, I won't know, so I'm budgeting 12%. Earlier, I budgeted 15%, and I proposed budget, I showed it to you, I had 15% up there. So now I'm budgeting 12%. I've reduced it by 3% because our tax cap was going over the board. So I think we'll be fine.
So if we get the number before November 27th, which is the preliminary hearing on the public hearing on the preliminary budget, we can make that adjustment.
Yes, if
By then,
it's significantly lower, probably we can make an adjustment and we can put it down, yes. Same, it's for the retirees, it's the major expense in our budget. We have almost 2.1 million, but we pay for night shift. For the retirees and the regular employees.
How much? 1.1, 2.1 billion.
Yes, almost. Welfare has increased a little bit based on the salaries, testing. Just $108 increase. Dental has been same for over the years, so haven't increased it. Medicare refund has been same, 35,000 based on whosoever get Part B reimbursement from us. These are based on the fact I've taken into consideration what are the band payments for the next year. Serial bond payment, we cannot touch all these lines. Band principal is the same, 93,000. It has gone. It's based on what is expected to pay next year. So I've done those calculations. I cannot touch them. Overall, it's gone from 325 to 351, and I'm expecting it to go down if we don't borrow it at an aggressive level next year. So the overall budget is from 3.8 going to 4.5.
So it's an 18.26% increase.
And then we reduced it by 32,000 and we are at 4.5, close to similar value.
If we took out,
Yes.
Is, we don't have GPS or any way in the vehicles, right? Any
That's a good idea.
GPS?
We don't.
Well,
Well, some towns are doing it. Yeah, I know. Thank you, guys.
Do we? No, we don't.
We don't, yeah.
Other
Yeah.
towns
I know
do.
coverage does that. Or, yeah, I think it's, yeah. Good thing to do.
You could even look at Verizon or one of them, they could set you up.
PD does it.
Yeah.
Based on your explanation of the status of our vehicles, I don't think we have to worry about anybody taking them too far.
So right now, so the way, and you're gonna go over the other, I mean, we're.
Yes.
Getting almost done with highway, but at this point, we're still. At a
507.
8.8%. 8.7.
8.75 to
You're pulling up.
8.57 is the cap, so we're difference with 6.17% that we need to reduce. 507 to be exact, the value that we need to reduce.
if we
As of
took
now.
out, if we kept, have you got a figure, if we kept the
Right.
road repair and maintenance, the road resurfacing and paving and
Yes.
mulch and debris, we kept those at
Yes,
the same level?
yes, we are over 500 some,
It would be-
507,000.
It would be 450,000, the difference between if we borrowed that.
Yes, so there'll be a huge difference, yes, correct. So if we do 320 minus up here, so just for the calculation, if we minus this and minus
Minus 32 or 320.
30,000. No, I'm just doing the basic calculation. Oh, 320,
32.
110.
If
So
we
we-
did the band for that.
Yes, yes. We cannot do for the trees, right? So if we go by that, we are very close, 157,000 that we're looking to reduce.
So we're at a,
If I do this
Rate
calculation, if we
4.49%.
reduce those values and we ban, we are actually very close. We are just 1.92% higher than the tax cap. So, which is a very favorable position, because earlier we were 4 point something higher. Okay. Or if we could postpone these expenses for the next year, then probably we can. Or we tap into reserve, but we usually do that every time, so.
If the road falls apart,
So
we
just,
can't postpone it.
like the total
Mhm,
town debt and just how that changes,
mhm.
comes down to 25, what it is now and what it will go down to 25 if we were not to ban.
Hold on, can I answer a question?
Yeah.
Before we get to the overall picture, do we have any more questions for Peter
yeah, we were-
before we get to the
I
bigger picture stuff? Or are we gonna make him stay here
I think
through
you can
all
go.
this?
Just I'd like to say something finishing up. Thank you again, and thank you for all the years that I've had here. One thing I'd like you to concentrate on, a capital improvement line for equipment. Okay, because you're falling down, I mean, we know we're falling on it. Go back to the lease line if it's feasible.
Yeah.
We never had a problem with having 350 for leasing and replace the vehicles, but look into what's offered to you. Because you're gonna see, it goes fast.
Yeah, Nish and I talked about a capital plan.
Yeah, you really, then
So we're.
the highway superintendent should have to come every year and ask you for, you say, listen, you got
Yeah.
350,000, do what you got to do with it.
Yeah.
And every year you have to dig it up, and I think once you get it in the budget, you're better off and you're done with it.
Right.
Well, if we may.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for all your service.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You got 3 more months to put up with
Not
it. Right there.
it's the highway superintendent, but for all your years
Oh,
of service.
oh, yeah.
in the town.
Almost 40.
So,
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
It's been a pleasure.
All right, take care, everybody.
You want me to do zero back?
Oh, no, put it back to base.
Standing there, I was thinking.
No.
Yeah, that was just,
The-
because what I'd like to do is go to the rest of this one.
Yes.
And then we'll.
No, you're-
Revenue lines.
Yeah.
So back to 8.74.
Just say, good.
Tax rates, yeah, 8.74. All right. All right, so let's go back.
So I
Good
have
streamlined presentation.
highway revenue, just 2 lines.
Yeah, highway revenue, there's nothing we can do there. That's-
Yes. Are we talking bigger picture on how to get to the tax cap?
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, that just. as
I
a-
waived my benefits,
yes,
right? So is that already accounted for in here
for the next year?
for this budget?
Oh, I thought you waived it for this year.
I waived it too, but I'm waiving it for next year as well.
That, yes,
And I as well am waiving my benefits, so
okay,
that's.
so that'll be like an $8,000 buyout, which we can reduce.
But it's a buyout, so you want the buyout?
For next year, probably have taken it for my first 2 years.
Oh, you want to waive your salary or buyout?
No.
Sure.
I think it's salary thing wise. No,
You're very generous, that's what I'm saying.
right, right now I'm waiving the benefits, but I will let you know about the buyout.
Okay. Okay,
I
I
know
know
it'd be an
this year you
additional $4,000
yes,
for me, and the benefits value around 30.
33,000,
Okay.
which is the.
So between Mary and I, that's a $66,000 savings.
Like, if you're not taking
So-
health insurance, that's a benefit to the town.
Yes.
Correct, yes, but I haven't,
So confirm that and get back to it.
Well, I think we know we're not taking the health insurance.
That, we just haven't filled out the paperwork.
yes, but
For
I
next year.
budgeted buyout only for you guys. I didn't budgeted the,
Okay,
so that.
Oh,
was
so
not
you
changed.
already have that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I.
That was my question.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, so that is already in there, so I
Okay.
cannot reduce it, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so
Go to the general fund.
general fund, highway revenue is just 2 lines. You want to see,
Yeah,
that
it's-
is
it's
the same, the chips and driveway permit for $100, nothing extreme, so
and the consolidated highway is the chips.
the chips, so that's
Just
the.
for friends at home.
Yes, correct. So let's go to general fund revenue. That's the positive side.
Just
Let's
looking at
look
the
at
highway
it.
budget, I was wondering why I was a problem.
So
Okay.
we're,
Oh, yeah, it's right here. Sorry.
So receiver of taxes gets interest and penalties. She's not increasing. It's the same value from the previous year. For the revenue, town clerk hasn't changed much. We are expecting the similar sort of revenue for the next year unless some changes happen. And building has increased their revenue by 200,000. They're projecting.
Yeah, I spoke to Kevin about this, so he's on target to exceed the 23 budget. And we feel that this number can be bumped up. There's room to bump it up even more.
year to date, it's what date, I'm trying to remember. from last
It's
week, about 800
It's
and something.
800, yeah, so he'll be over $1 million. Yeah. It was 800 something.
Are there sort of major projects
What
that
was it? What line was
help
it?
in that assessment of next year?
Probably is.
Any major projects for?
Yeah, for next year, that sort of gives them that clue that, yeah, it's gonna have that, or it's just the general, like,
I don't, maybe the silver line, I don't know what size. But what the size is with permits, but that's another,
13 months.
yeah, so that. that's
Let's just mention it, Tony, because we were kind of up in the air last year going to this because of how the market was changing, and we didn't know how that was going to be. Like, in other words, we're concerned about inventory and interest rates.
So
And we were cautious, which was a prudent thing to do. So
Yeah.
I think my premise of where we are for this year,
This year.
that this year would be some similarities to how next year would be. Like
Yes.
22 into 23 is a big question mark, but I think 23 with things kind of
So-
settle down as to where they are. I don't think it's bad to carry over in the same parameters as for
Yes.
24, but leaving room, so
Yeah.
like just moving that to 850, I think is,
So we were just, I pulled up the August, year-to-date August report from the building department, we're at 822,000
Yes.
so far. Last year, we did $1 million, almost 1.1 million, and the year before that, 1.14 million.
yeah, so if we put it to 850 as an initial, I think that's
We're talking about mortgage tax already?
No, it's
building going from 800 to 850, it's another 50 grand right there.
By August, I had 600 something, 660. By August, but you might have the actual updated figures.
Yeah, this is through August.
Yes.
So we just,
I vote for being a little conservative and not putting it up to 850, but to 800, just to
Yeah,
be.
but it isn't, this.
It is at
Yeah.
800 right now.
Yes.
It's 800 now.
Instead 850.
Yeah, so 800, boosting the
what
revenue
is-
projection
And when I
850.
spoke to Kevin, he agreed that we could go up, you know, even 900 if we wanted to. This is fine.
We're pretty easy now.
I respectfully suggest
We now have two actual building inspectors at
Yeah.
least to drive stuff where we were working off of,
Mhm.
you know, one before, right?
Going back for the last
Yeah,
3 or 4 years, we've been, I think, at
yes.
one, we've been well in excess of $1 million the last 4 years, I think, right?
At least 21, so I would say yes, but I have to dig up that. Do you have that in your highlights? Do you have?
I have the
revenue?
budget of
Back
that.
you go.
No, I just have the budget. Oh, actually, it's
Actuals.
109 and
No, but
105.
do you go before 21?
No.
No, okay.
So this is 109 figures. This is actual for 2022. And this was year to date by July end or August somewhat. So these are not updated.
Yes, so you're at least still leaving a 20-25% cushion based upon the last 3 years. I'm going back further where it's been.
So 109, 105, yes. If you want to bump it a little, yes.
I respectfully.
Oh.
Keep it
I want to play conservative. And keep it
By
at
August,
800.
yeah, if by August we had 600,000, right?
820,000.
I thought she said, what was?
My figures are a little older than his.
Okay.
It's 800.
Yes, we're already,
August through
Okay.
August.
yeah, so 2/3 of the year we're already, so if you extrapolate, that's a 1.2 million, and we're only bumping it to 850, leaving another 250 to 300 cushion based upon the last few years.
I wouldn't go on the side of 850.
Yeah.
I'd say it's 1.5.
Oh,
That'd be at the highest I would go, but I'm more inclined to stick with Mary's conservative approach.
okay.
That's just me,
Maybe 20,000 more.
for the people.
Yeah, I can go with 825.
I could go with 850.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just,
But we don't have to make that decision now. You know, we can consult again if you guys want to talk to Kevin and hear.
all right, so let's move the needle 25, I guess, to start, and then we can go around the horn.
Yeah, but so that the next meeting, we'll have the September numbers.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel a little better knowing
Okay,
the
so
September size.
let's wait.
yeah.
So
I still don't think that.
So bump it up 25,000 and then we'll,
The other thing is to look at
do you think?
December's numbers, so we have a picture of.
well, that'll be too late.
No, last December.
One of the
Last
things-
December.
Yes, so we can have a,
So last December, December is a slow month,
that's my point.
so it drops to. Yeah, but it's hard to say. I mean, October in 21 was 111,000, October 22 was 39,000. And then November for both of those years jumped dramatically and then dropped again. in
All
December.
right, so we'll go
And
to
we have to
25
think
now,
about
and I could, you know,
A number of other things as well, so. All right, so the next line
Okay.
is,
So I bumped it 25,000, so 8 to 825, and planning board fees is 15,000 to 20,000 increased. Park and recreation fees, it's going up by 76,850, 1.6 that we are expecting.
Let me just ask, is John, is Kevin on by any chance? Or sometimes he, okay.
Why are the planning board fees going up? Just in anticipation of what's on the calendar or
They
something?
are gonna increase their fees, plus they're gonna have new program they're gonna run for that.
yeah, no, she said planning board.
Oh, planning board.
Yeah, they went up 5,000. I was just wondering why
I,
they didn't say.
2115, 1 second. 2115, so he didn't mention anything, yes, he just bumped it to 20,000 and it is 35,000 by August, so maybe that's.
Okay,
Maybe
That's
that's
why
not-
I bumped it, yes.
okay, that's good.
That's Kirsten.
Yeah.
Kirsten provided that.
Yeah, and as far as parks and.
Oh, planning.
Planning board
We've seen
fees,
that.
yes.
The planning board fees, okay,
Yes, that's already at 36
Wait.
something, so
yeah, that's.
Yeah.
bumped it.
presentation was a reduced, will that offset as far as being a wash, because what the Nicole's presentation was at shooting for like you said, the
Yeah,
talking
but
about quality versus quantity.
they're doing quality versus quantity, they're raising the rates, but they're also increasing the programming. As well, not just for the camps, but the other programs during the years.
So it can be a slight net increase.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So the bumping won't piece, basically.
Right,
Okay.
But they were bumping also the salaries
Um,
for those camps.
right, we're just talking revenue right now,
Yeah,
so.
So where can we check year to date on Parks and Rec?
These are old figures.
it's like to kill.
yeah, maybe I
Park and Rec is,
should we hit the light switch back there?
it was 922 by August.
Right there, in the wall,
And that's, okay, 922,
Yes,
light switch.
that's the figure that I'm.
922 by August, that's 2/3 extrapolate out to 50, so that's 135 or so.
So they.
No, they're on target to exceed their revenue for.
Oh, that's better, thank you.
Looking at this.
Okay, so they were by August, mid somewhere, they were at 922.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
They're on target for 130. So if they're increasing the fees and they're increasing, getting new programs in, so that's why they're expecting the more revenue to come.
Okay.
That's really like a 15% increase year over year projection. Right, one figure, extrapolate out 1.3. Ish, and your numbers are 1.6, so you're talking another.
Yes.
And if there are any people who would like to sponsor, I can't solicit. But if they're listening, they're more than happy to help the budget.
Okay. Sponsorship donation, she's been saying $3,000 increase, so. This is finance line interest, this year has been very extremely good, we have almost 144,000 by August. In interest because of 4 point something that we are getting from ARPA money as well. And
that's
so-
because you
I-
changed, you
No,
did something, did you change,
I kept it with the signature bank only, which is now Flagstar. They
Yeah.
are giving us a very 4 point something rate of interest, which is drastically high.
That's
For in comparison to another banks which are giving us.
Yeah.
So year to date was 2401, year to date was 144, so I'm still being conservative and the interest rate might go down next year.
Mhm.
So that's the value that I collected for July, August.
That's just a regular savings account.
We have ARPA funds on the side in that another bank.
Is there, with
That-
the
that
interest
is
rates,
running.
is there any short-term CD opportunity?
No.
Okay.
So this is
We haven't
this is on the
tapped into
ARPA
that,
funds
yes.
or the ARPA
We
funds
have.
or somewhere else, the interest on the ARPA funds?
So we can look into that, sorry.
This is the interest on the ARPA funds?
It's combined interest on
Okay.
all the banks,
Yes,
two
so-
banks that we have. So that's what we collected by August, so I'm pretty optimistic that we will be able to get up to 105 next year.
Of course, if there's a 3 or 6 month CD opportunity, because interest rates higher.
Yes, we can definitely
check that out.
Yeah. So yeah, we did very good with interest and probably we'll be fine next year as well. Fine and forfeiture payrolls, it's 135,000, it's bumped from 100 to 35,000 higher. It's based on the figures that we actually collected this year after paying off the New York State. So that's the net figure. Miscellaneous revenue, there's no sale of property. We are expecting one of the properties being sold next year for 170, close to after net profit.
Is that the one you sent?
That's the one, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Then we have cable TV franchise fees. We are still negotiating the contract for the next year, but that's the figure based on how much we have collected this year, based on that.
But that's a contracted fee,
No,
shouldn't.
sorry. Cable TV franchise fees is cable vision that we have. Franchise fees that we get from cable vision, they have drastically reducing from 61,000 per quarter to 60,000 or.
No, but isn't that a contract that, I mean,
You guys finalized that contract with the cable TV committee, I think that's what Dean told me,
It's
that
117.
finalized, and it's for a certain period of time.
yeah, I have to review that. It's been a while since I looked at it. Last time I looked at it was when I was on board.
And-
So, but my question is,
Or one
isn't
that's
that,
in a-
It's still a fact.
isn't that a fixed
It's
We
contractual number?
It
Shouldn't it
changes
be-
little 61,000, 60,000. It keeps on changing every quarter. So I'm not. too
So
sure.
during the life of the contract, does it It fluctuates or
It
goes down
fluctuates
slightly?
every quarter, like from 60,000 to 61,000, it keeps on, last year it was, it's,
All right,
it's
so we-
it's fluctuating.
There
are some factors-
You're extrapolating to 40 something.
Percentage, and that's why it's not a fixed rate, it's based on a percentage.
Some fluctuation is there, so I received 61,951 in the first quarter.
Mhm.
I received 60,000 something in the second quarter. So I'm expecting 60,000 going forward, that's how I calculated, and it's gone a little lower
So
than
that's,
last year.
is it per house, so per household, that's cable vision basically? or-
I forget what the details on that,
Okay.
about to what, so.
Yeah, whatever, okay.
Yes, so that's why it's
Rent.
gone a little lower than the previous year because I'm budgeting
Okay.
correctly. Rent cell towers, we are planning to get the contract back up. They are negotiating with us right now. So I'm saying probably 95,000 because the actual numbers was higher, 25.
That's on my list as well. We received
Yes.
a letter from them and they're looking to potentially increase the rent.
So I'm optimistic 95,000 will be fine. State rate variance is the state, what was
That's the aim.
aim
Aid
payments
to,
that come.
what is that stand for, Greg? AIM is the aid, state aid to municipalities or something.
Okay, so
Aim.
that doesn't change. New York State aim payment comes in September. That's gonna be the same for the next year. We confirmed from the state. State mortgage tax, sales tax. It's based on the tentative number of what we received this year.
Just to clarify, it's aid and incentives for municipalities.
Yes. And it comes usually in September. We contacted them and they gave us the figure correctly. Sales tax is based on the current numbers, and then mortgage tax, obviously, because of the rate hike. We are losing 150, close to 150 for the next, we are projecting less.
Yes.
So mortgage tax, we get twice a year, we get the payments?
Yes, half yearly.
I thought it was quarterly.
1 second.
Yeah, it's quarterly.
1 second.
You get lease sends it.
I don't remember like knowing we get twice a year.
Yeah, April, October, some reasons.
I don't remember it off the top of my head, 3005, but okay, so I had 261 in this, so this was.
That would have been first
Quarterly.
payment. Quarterly or?
Well,
So for like at the end of the year, we're not getting it. Actually, we're or something.
Yeah.
actually, it's monthly. Well, we get a monthly report because I have
Yes.
one for August from lease and that shows
50,000, 30,000, it keeps on changing every now and then, so. I think 261 was quarterly.
so through August. 2023 year to date was 315,000
Year to date, you said?
year to date
Is that through August or September?
through August.
Okay, so it's 175, so it's five and a quarter.
315 divided by 8. It's roughly 8 times 4. 40,000 times 3 more months.
Yeah, 40 to 10 years.
160, so we're probably on
It's half
track.
yearly, 261 is half yearly,
We're on track to be just under
Yes.
500,000.
yes. Okay. So that's why we're budgeting 500,000, this is half. yearly.
So, and Lisa is comfortable with that?
Yes,
Number.
she gave me the number, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So all in all, 6.2 million was the total revenue. We are expecting 6.5 next year, plus additional. We're going up to 7.03 million in total, which is 4.73% hike. If you're okay, then we can go to expenditure side of it. Okay. So this is the town board wages, same normal increase that we're looking at. Town board operating expenses, same 5,000, it hasn't changed. Social security and Medicare is based on what salary is being given. Hospital and medical insurance is. We budgeted 71,000, but we reduced it. I budgeted 15%, I reduced it to 69,809. And then welfare benefit is the same.
You reduce it to reflect 12% increase, right?
Welfare benefit is the welfare payment that we give to all the employees, 875 4 times. So we have 4 town board members. We have that's the payment. So there's no change on that. If you go to adjusted code line, it has increased from 72 to 75 based on the same rate hike that we're looking at. Code clerk is 114 to 119. Extra hours from 15,000 hasn't changed. Longevity is based on the contract.
What's the difference now
handbook.
between the extra,
Sorry.
extra hours? I'm sorry, no, I lost my line.
That's the thing this last year.
Yes. So there's not much hike in that lines too. Contractual, justice operating expenses, 2,000, just $500 increase. Educational conference, she's gone 500 low. Court reports and interpreters, she's gone up $2,000. LES rent and utility, we still have to finalize that contract. So that rent and utility has been divided into 4 or 5 places for town and LES buildings and everywhere, like 3 or 4 places that we
Plus
look
different
at, yes,
departments.
for different departments.
So the
yes.
town salary increases were going by what's the percentage?
Right now, the proposal is 4%.
Yes.
4%, and we matching that up with
Yes,
linkage with,
the contracts.
She has a table, she
Yes.
showed.
Okay.
Yes. So we're matching with the contract, plus we are taking into consideration that their longevity is lower than union contracts employees. And they don't get all these additional benefits like uniform allowance and everything. So there's a lot of list of differences that we have. So taking into consideration if the union is getting 3.5, that's why I was suggesting 4%. And the net difference is 5,700. That's
So the net
looked
difference
at that
between
last time.
3.5 and 4% is
Yes.
$5,000.
$5,000, yeah, the net difference. So I really don't want to be unfair to people, non-union employees. That's why I proposed 4.
All right, let's see.
Justice code, so social security and Medicaid, it's going as based on the salaries, hospital and same, I reduced it by 3%, welfare benefits is based on the number of employees getting welfare. Supervisor, so that's the same 4% that we're looking at, confidential secretary same 4%, and there's a grant administrator stipend that's being paid. We are not changing that because we are expecting more grants to come in and it's a lot of work. So we're not planning to change. Right now, nobody's getting it, but we're not planning to change it because it's an expense, it's a lot of work. And then longevity, because married retired, there's no longevity. So overall, we haven't gone higher from 187 to just 191, which is extremely fine. And then we go about office expenses, it's the same, it hasn't changed. Any other number hasn't changed in contractual expenses. Assistants of supervisors, it's same. Educational seminar and conferences hasn't changed, mileage hasn't changed. So same social security, Medicaid based on the salaries, and hospital medical benefits is the NIMER, sorry, not night shift.
do we lease a copier or anything?
Yeah, that's
Separate?
that's
Yes.
yeah.
So that's
That's
just
all.
for. Office, okay.
Yes, WellCare is based on the 2 employees out there, $875. Finance, that's mine. I've given the same 4%. Account clerk. So this is Cheryl's salary. Longevity, so there's no, Leo has retired, so there's no longevity this year. But why is it okay? I don't know. There might be
And to
some.
explain the account clerk dropping from 39 to 11 is because
We budgeted last year for one of the additional lines, which was intermediate clerk part-time. So we
that
budgeted
was
that.
what Leo had factored in
Yes,
for the additional
yes.
help.
Yes, so he budgeted out of 39, if you deduct 11, that was the budgeted value for an additional person that he always wanted. So intermediate clerk part-time, that's why I've introduced.
We split it.
I've split it up. So Cheryl money and Cheryl portion and the intermediate clerk portion, I've split them into 2 portions. That 39,000 has been split up here in 2 portions. And there's a consultant line, which obviously was created for Leo. So now we no longer have that. Operating expenses 1,500 to 1,800, just a slight increase. Payroll expenditures 14. This is ADP coming. Payroll expenditure, yes, it's ADP cost. And software update, it's based on the whatever projected numbers that we are getting for software.
Getting numbers from who? Where's that coming from?
1310. Software support, it came from Springbrook support by Joe. So 2% hike. That's what we're looking at.
So what is that?
That's a
Com-
Springbrook, that's KBS.
That's the
KBS,
finance.
finance system that we have,
Okay,
KBS. That's the finance system that we have that we need to pay. So it's the number given by Joe.
so it's a
because he
monthly
takes
use fee, or what is that?
I don't know the
That's,
frequency.
I don't know, I don't remember.
Yeah.
So it includes W2 as well. I think W2 is up there for operating
Software
expenses.
upgrades.
Yes.
ADP.
AD, that's in under ADP. W2 is under ADP.
Yeah, it's just-
This one is just the software that we have across, which is KVS, Springbrook. So that number is given by Joel.
It's probably related to the Microsoft.
No, this is KPF.
KVS.
The finance.
It's the finance system that is used by every department up here. So it's based on that, his projection, that what we are expecting to pay for KVS next year.
No, I know,
Yes,
I'm just trying to know what we actually are getting for this. That IT support, if somebody has a question with the system, they call up? Or?
No, this is for the software that all the finance, all these numbers go into that platform. And all
Yes.
our claims are processed.
And this is
In that
like
platform.
any other kind of cloud
used by-
system
yeah.
that
Yes.
you might use in your work, you know, we've got.
like all the
a few of
budgets,
them in,
vendors.
right, and each one of them is, you know, there's a annual license fee and then there's, you know, and support as well.
Yes.
Well, just,
Like
yeah,
QuickBooks.
yeah, just,
Yeah.
so it's a contract
Yeah.
is with,
So
Yeah.
Accounting software support.
education conference dues are not,
Support contract.
okay, so,
yes.
Okay.
There's no difference, $400. Overall, it's just a $2,000 difference from the net. What was budgeted last year, Social Security and Medicare is the same 11,000. Based on the salary, hospital medical benefits, same, I reduced 3%, and welfare, it's just me right now, so I've budgeted 875. External auditors, these are the external, O'Connor Davis, so I'm budgeting same 37,000. Their expenses are usually similar.
So we're doing an audit every year now?
Yes. Oh, you don't.
We have to.
We have to.
Yeah.
Yes.
is it municipal
Yeah.
finance laws?
I think library has a
Oh.
choice, we don't have. a choice.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize.
Yes, we have to do audit every year,
Okay.
yes, correct.
And we have a proposal from.
All right, before we go on to the next department,
Okay.
okay,
Mhm.
can we go back up to town board?
Mhm.
Okay, now, I can only speak for myself, I don't need a raise,
I'm good with that.
right, so that's just me. Mary and I are on taking benefits, you said that's already reflected.
No, it's
in
free,
the-
that's what we did last 2 years, that's sort of, sure.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
no reason. Now, last year, we had a debate back and forth about the supervisor salary.
Mhm.
You want me to take, what do you want me to do?
I don't want you to do anything.
So let's just deal with that, we're adjusting that, the town board is going the same number, so you can
Right.
make that change.
So you can, yeah, so that's a
64,860.
4% cut, so we save.
It's just
Um,
a few dollars there.
So if we go like that, I think we are not saving much, it's just,
It's every little bit helps.
oh, yes, from 64 to 67, I don't have the calculation, but yes. From 4% to 3.5%, that's the calculation I have. Okay,
So
so,
it'll be a 0% increase.
okay,
So you change the requested budget to 64,
No, you can't change it. Well, yeah, you gotta make the adjustment. Yeah.
the adjustment of,
Oh, it's all the way through, runs all the way through based upon. So you have to override.
Right, zeros.
so no raises for town board members?
Right.
That's correct.
Are all four of them?
we'll bite the bullet again this year.
Okay, so I'll do the calculations and I'll put the numbers later.
Okay.
Okay, I'll highlight this. There'll be a net $3,000 difference, so we'll keep a track of that.
Right.
Okay,
That's good.
wow,
All right.
thank you.
Well, the-
Generous.
Now, down to the supervisor's line, what was the raise last year?
4%.
Same 4%.
So 4%. Okay, so if I remember our conversation last year correctly, and the rest of you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Mhm.
You know, I didn't understand the need to have a 4% increase on all the salaries across the board, non-union salaries across the board. You know, working in a town where, you know, as a town employee, I get a 2% raise every year, that's what it is. I didn't understand, but the conversation was that, you know, after COVID and everything that happened and, you know, nobody had budgeted for raises and we were catching up. And so we, you know, everyone.
Well, I think the issue, people have not gotten any raise for 2 or 3 years at
So
all in
where-
town.
Where there
Right.
would be, where from a 2.5 2 to 3% every year thing, we were up to 4. And I reluctantly didn't think that was a good idea, although I think that our employees deserve a lot more. But now here we are a year later and we're looking to do another 4%. And, you know, when I look at the contracts, right, they're somewhere like around 3.5% in the MOAs, right? That's around.
There's a couple of 4% within scattered in the agreements.
Scattered.
Not on a regular.
No. And
Here, you can see them here.
So
Say it was
if you look at the
4%.
cumulative, that's what I showed in my last presentation.
yes,
If you start with 2020 with $40 for non-union employees and every union employees. So I've categorized it, percentage increase, it was 0% for 2021, it was 4%, 4%, and we are expecting 4%.
I think the 2022 was not 4%.
Oh, yeah, 2022 was 4%.
Was it 4%?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm just.
So this is not year, this is just, so for example, this is the salary, base salary that I'm looking at $40. So if anyone who started in 2020 with $40 is ending up at 44.99 in 24. So to be on the par with what other union employees are getting. So if you do the cumulative, so from 2%, 4%, 3.5 and 3.5 raise.
So
We are
40
on par with all the unions, so I wouldn't recommend because.
So what is the,
I understand, and I appreciate you putting up the comparison,
So it's not like we are giving them away a huge portion, it's just to be on the par with all the union employees, I think this is fair. So because they got a huge retro, which non-union employees never got anything. They got a retro for longevity as well.
I totally understand where you're, I'm not questioning.
I'm just explaining about
the numbers.
It's my voice, I guess.
No, it's okay.
It's okay, yeah.
So, but then, you know, then we also have the supervisor salary, which, you know, for many years, there was no increase in supervisor salary, but the 2 years that you've been in office, you.
Many years.
For 2 years.
No, you said many years it was never an increase.
Very rarely. It took time, it wasn't every year, so, you know, 2 years that you've been in office, we've now looking at 2 raises. So I have,
A problem with the supervisor getting raised.
again, it has nothing to do with the quality of the work, Tony. We're all not taking,
Okay.
we're not the quantity, we're not taking a raise
Yeah.
for 2 years in a row. You're part of the town
3
board
was
as well,
fine.
sorry.
3, but it was kind
I've only been in office, too,
of. Oh,
so
So
I'm just saying.
It's. that-
You know,
Okay.
So
all.
you should, we'll respectfully requesting that you consider
Thank you.
joining us
Okay.
in our fiscal
Efforts.
generosity in trying to help keep things under.
I'll take that into consideration.
Can I just ask as far as, not the percentage, as far as, I presume, and you kind of alluded to this before, that if you were to breach either percent or 0.5%
yes,
across the board, the total amount of money is,
$5,759.
and that's per 0.5% or?
Yes,
percent?
0.5%, 0.5%, yes.
So all in for one, difference between 3% and 1% is about 11 grand for all across the
Yes.
board, right?
Yes, yes. And I wouldn't suggest for him because I've seen him working, how many hours that he put in. He'd never say, taken a comp time, overtime, double time, nothing, and kind of grants that he's getting in. I feel like he's taken on more responsibility than a supervisor would do, like as a town administrator, I would consider. So I continuously say that his salary is quite low in comparison to any town administrator, which is around across that I've seen.
Well, I wasn't taking up that position. I was trying to see.
But he's not an administrator, he's an elected official,
Yes.
No, I was,
so that's a whole
well,
different thing.
so I mean, at least,
So it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't make a huge lot of difference for $500 from 3.5, so it's
Well-
$1,000.
I'll just get out my
Sorry.
position for, no, thank you. No. At least for where we are right now, we take a breather. I'm fine with the, see where we are in process and digest the 4% across, at least for right now. Take a time out of it, say, because I mean, separate and apart from the supervisor position is a full-time position, so it's a total apples and oranges type of thing. And based upon the hopeful expectation anybody would have as a full-time supervisor in the town. it's gotta be, it's gotta be somewhere in the realm of potential,
Are you saying it's not attractive salary for people to want to run for office? Is that what you're trying to say?
I adopt council's characterization of it, yes.
Well,
I mean-
let me say, you just said it's not an administrator. In fact, he is an administrator because the town doesn't have an administrator.
Correct.
Yes.
So other, the villages, the cities have administrators. In the town, the supervisor serves as administrator and the board call. So the
understand.
scope of work.
But a town administrator is hired where a town supervisor is elected. It's just a little different. I'm not saying that he doesn't work hard. That's not my point. It's just that the supervisor keeps requesting that his salary gets raised.
I don't request it. It's part of the non-union.
And also another on the administrative part, if we had any administrator, so in doing essentially that job, if you were to go out and hire somebody for that, it would be a minimum of probably 150, if not, and whatever it is in
Even a
Harrison
rent
Short. So, right,
Yes.
right, so it would cost a lot more money as far as that, and the issue is, if you expect somebody to work full-time, and as a town supervisor, you have to live within the town of Lewisboro. And if that's you can't afford to live here and just, if that's your, on that. And based upon what we would hope for, based upon any supervisor.
Which brings me to the next line. I think we've discussed that enough.
Okay.
The $4,000 stipend,
Mhm.
I was totally against it last year. I'm totally against it this year. It's a whole different thing, and based on some other things that we've been discussing that have been brought up and how much that would cost. I think that money would be better spent.
When you say it's a totally different thing, what do you mean?
Well, we were talking about the possibility of bringing in an outside agency.
That was the second item that you mentioned, but yeah,
Right,
That's
that's the
correct.
second thing.
that's an agency to provide us with access to a portal
Yes,
where they concentrate all available grants and give us access to the portal. If
Right,
you
and-
want them to work the grants, it's $150 an hour.
no, and you and I discussed this earlier, and we agreed to disagree, but my thought process was that if we were to invest the money in that type of service, that reigniting our grants committee to allow access and to work on the grants would then be much more feasible. And that $4,000 that's there as a stipend to the chief of staff to do the grant work would be better spent on the service and allowing our grant committee access to do the work that they need to do, which they haven't been able to do thus far.
I agree with that concept. I think that it's all within the scope of what the person does, so it should come within one total number, whatever it is. And my only thought about that is the person being new to the position and being hired, where the other person with the argument as far as keeping it close to where it is in total is the fact that it's somebody who just came into the position.
Can I?
That's my only point out.
So the kind of workload, like getting the information is one push. And assessing it, which all grants that we're looking for, it's another portion. But actual work, where you need to pull in the vouchers, where you need to get all these spreadsheet expenses and everything. I think we are having a very good deal by just giving 4,000 to one person to do all that, because it involves enormous amount of work. Even if you go out for all those companies, the one that we're looking up to hire, they take a percentage of the grant, which is enormous. So we really don't want to get into that. And this is, I think it's a very cheap deal.
What about the concept of putting it total? I mean, that's within the scope of what the confidential secretary.
Well, that's what North Salem is doing. So North Salem actually, they still have it in their line as a grants administrator position, grant administrator line item. But the intent is to wrap it into the salary.
No, it should be a total, because in other words, you don't have a benefits component, you have a human resources component, you have
So
a grant.
what would you say a total?
A total number for what the person does.
Okay, so
That's
we could throw that 4,000 up into.
No, see, that's my whole point, the
But this-
salary for what is now the chief of staff position, previously the confidential secretary position, was my position last year was the salary encompasses all that's necessary to assist the supervisor as to what the supervisor needs. That was what the job description was. You had indicated that, you know, your confidential secretary position at the time was doing an extra amount of work just with grants. But what makes her different, or that different than any other year prior? Who was doing all the work?
There wasn't
the year
any
prior?
grants prior,
There were grants, they just weren't as
identify them,
many grants.
okay?
I'm not saying
Just-
you're doing a poor job
No,
on
but how do you
grants,
know?
but what I'm saying
Lots
is
of
that
time. When you say there weren't any grants.
I'll have to go
I mean,
back
Dan's
and
been
look.
here
I
10
see
years
many
plus.
that there were grants.
Okay, go ahead, yeah.
That's all. You're asking me for a number. I'm sorry, I'm sitting here at the table. I can't look it up right now.
Right,
So, but be that as it may, the position is to aid the supervisor in doing his job. And if part of your job is doing grants, then it's included in their salary, what they're doing. I don't
We
think
can
the stipend
certainly-
is necessary for this.
Yeah.
And that's why I said we can agree to disagree. But
Right.
I'm just thinking the $4,000 would be better spent paying the agency to provide the service and allowing the grants committee to take over the role that you're saying that the confidential secretary or chief of staff person is doing, and allow them access to the information that they need, just like we gave Janet Anderson access to the information that she needed when she basically ran point on getting the grant for the culvert. She did an amazing job.
she ran point with the team, but the actual work for submission onto the portal and then the follow-up work, that's where the bulk of the work lies. It's not the submission. of the grants.
The issue is not that as a value within the scope of it, but it's such it's an arbitrary number, which isn't based on anything. Like $4,000 doesn't mean, okay. I mean, if you took, for example, if you took the amount of hours that's like, let's say,
Yeah.
argument that is spent during the course of the year, it has no tie-in, the component of it has no tie into the amount of time or the effort. It's like a, doesn't mean. So,
It's just recognizing that there's.
right, it's 4,000, when I say 2,687, it doesn't really have any, it doesn't tie into any value or meaning based upon hours or based upon specific component, because, I mean, it's almost, in a way, you could argue it's an insult. So like, what I'm getting at, so 4,000, that's one, from a ratio, that's 1/20th, right, of the total amount of time, so 5% of the time. So does that mean that in that grants component, they're supposed to spend 5% of the max? No, but I'm saying it's not based on it, it's from a monetary
Right.
standpoint,
It's
it
just
should be whatever
Well,
fair compensation should be, is whatever fair
So if you want
compensation
to
should be.
compare it to what other towns pay for grants work, we can certainly do that. We can go out and hire a grants administrator. Right? We can hire the company I'm talking to.
Are you going to be?
Grants and $50 an hour.
No,
Yeah, I'm just saying it should represent, it's all within the scope, yes, it's just, it is, it's trying to be, it's within the job, it's within the job responsibility and expectations, so it should be a number for whatever it is.
Okay, although, it was set out there just to recognize, like, this is so, like, we're putting some energy into this, we're recognizing it, but if you want to fold it in. We can fold it in, but I think it should stay there, it should be taken out.
Aaron?
I think if we talk about hiring a grants administrating service, then it should go out to an RFP and it should go through every other process that we're supposed to. I think that $4,000 is an acknowledgement of the work that's being done. I think it's such a small number
Yes, I would.
that I really think I would not support removing it.
No, I'm saying fold it, you're picking out a single component of what the person does. You're not saying, in other words, you're not saying subparts, you're not saying.
So then what if we do the same thing that we did for Janet and Jen and rolled it in a little bit
I think the way
each
that,
year?
the way the numbers work out.
Like I said, that's what other.
Whatever you
Another
just,
municipality has done that.
roughly
The
as
same.
parameter.
I'm sorry, I really need one person talking at a time, and I think that if we can roll up the number the same way we did with Janet and Jen for the administration of the website, you know, that originally it was not included and now it is included, we can do the same thing. And maybe leave the line for grants administration there until we roll it in, and maybe think about having some sort of service help us, but.
Can I just, I think the service is not likely to perform exactly
No,
these
I
duties.
know.
They're not gonna come in and, you know, go through the invoices
Right.
and all that.
And,
kind of
and
stuff.
interact with the various departments.
You know, we might engage a grant writer to, but they're still gonna have to interact with someone
Right.
in-house to pull documents and.
That's always the case, no matter what the town is. So what is the purpose of the grants committee that my colleague here so diligently worked to establish? What was the point? What was the purpose of even having it? They do
Hope was
nothing.
probably that they, you know, to some extent, you bring some people together and you hope they get traction and they start doing stuff. And the fact is, we
No, but
didn't
that's-
really get.
But the issue is that there's been, the tools have not been provided to be able to execute on things. That's a large component of the problem.
When we were campaigning against each other. Back then, we had a debate over whether we needed a grant writer versus, you know, Rich had the idea of coming up with this grants committee, which ultimately came to fruition because he was elected first, put the wheels in motion on that. And listening to him speak about it, my understanding was, and I thought the board's understanding was, that this grants committee was going to replace the need to hire a grant writer, and that they would be given access to the information, the tools required to fill this role. And in fact, we had people who very willingly agreed to be on the committee to do that. And one left when they weren't given the access and the tools required to do what I thought the job was. So, you know, the grants committee still technically exists, but there aren't enough people on it to do anything. So my question is, we're looking at, you know, $4,000 as a stipend and $4,800 to get the service, which I think is a great idea. I like the service, but then what's the point of the grant committee, and why aren't we using it to save the town money? Why can't the grants committee be the grants?
You brought up a good point, like with Janet, all the great work that
They can't submit it.
So is Jen Anderson.
the Janet, yeah, that's what.
She didn't submit anything. What she did was, volunteer to put together, answer the questions, right, with the help of myself, Joe Cermelli. And
Well, that's
and then
comparable to,
submission came from the town.
okay, so from an apples to apples, that's
Yeah.
something that if whatever Janet was allowed to do by way of, or given the opportunity to do by way of the grants committee should have exactly that input and role at a minimum.
So this lack of tools is a new thing to me. It seems to me you still have a town employee ultimately as an interface making submissions,
It's
but
essential, yeah.
right, so that, you know.
I'm not looking to eliminate it.
To a given grant application, you've got sort of content experts. In the case of the one that we talked about with Janet, she helped with organizing that content. If it was something to do with Parks and Rec, then you've got, you know, Parks and Rec, you know, committee might help. Pulling advisory committee might, council might bring in, you know, information to help go, you know, research it. And then eventually, you know, it goes through Nicole or something to get put in. If it's a sustainability thing, the committee will hustle around and try to find some good possibilities.
My point is that
ultimately.
My point is not a
it's still
budgetary, my point is not a budgetary point, it's a little bit, well. budget
Okay,
topic.
so then.
Well, I'm just saying, like the grants committee, that's the kind of thing they
Well,
want
let's-
to do. Exactly.
Yeah, I think this is,
Very long.
yeah.
You've exhausted, we've talked to.
We've made clear our perspectives.
Even just to close it, so even if you adjust where you're, you know, you gotta think about where you're at. But even if you tied in that the chief of staff confidential secretary position is 25,000 below, the numbers would roughly work out, as we call it, with that.
Okay.
I get that, but
Okay, we're on to receiver
If you
taxes.
pick your number and you, if
No,
you reduce by
it just
25, came to the number that it
calculates
would
that
roughly match up, so it
You can't change
calibrates with
that.
what,
Yes.
where you're at, your chief of staff is.
Um,
they
Okay, so
calibrate
now
where
we're
you
to
set.
receiver of taxes.
receiver of taxes, same,
That's-
person, deputy receiver of taxes. then
Wherever you land, you know.
Same raise and extra hours, 2,500, that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Longevity based on the handbook
Yeah.
that we have. Office and tax collection supplies hasn't changed. This hasn't, printing and design for tax bill hasn't changed. She's just added $500 for the mileage conference.
Not millage.
Oh,
It's.
Went out.
okay. I'll just-
Not your fault, that was, must have been.
Village put that behind.
Okay. Conference education and dues, it's $150, haven't changed, notice search and foreclosure, she's expecting higher next year. $5,000 and software update, she's keeping it the same, so overall, it's gone from 179 to 188.
Right, so what went up aside from salary?
Software update, no, notice
Yeah,
search and
yeah.
foreclosure, she said that she's expecting more foreclosures next year.
On this, on the software,
Um,
component for, I know I spoke to Lisa, know what we talked about as far as.
No, this is
receiver.
Oh, sorry, strike that, sorry, okay,
Okay, this is Deidre.
sorry, okay.
So.
Which one?
Okay, social security and Medicare is the same based on the salary, hospital medical benefit I reduced by 3%, WellCare is based on the number of people by 875, same assessor. She's asked 4% increase plus some additional portion.
Yeah.
So that comes down to 105.
And this was a request that came in last year, but it came in after we had already gone through.
right, the
budget
budget.
cycle.
So
And it's
So we're
more
waiting
than
till
for
next
yes,
year to this year.
assistant assessment clerk is 50 from 53 to 55 is the same percentage, extra hours is the same value, longevity, it's based on whosoever is getting a longevity in
Right.
assessor office.
Question, when was the last time he's got a raise?
I have no idea, but she said she wants to be with the par with the other towns.
I understand, I want to know how many years it's been
I don't know.
since that woman has gotten a raise.
Does this, okay, that aside,
She's been getting the.
Yeah, she's ties in with the town.
Right.
okay,
So-
does this
Every-
catch her up to the other assessors within the area?
Yes, this is the number she
Yes.
requested based on her
Okay.
assessment,
Her
other
assessment over
assessments.
The assessor's assessment.
office expenses, $400, tax mapping consulting, we've reduced it to 25,500,
Yeah,
because
we-
that was
Mhm.
funded from somewhere.
So I had discussed with Lisa when she first came to me with this and we discussed and I spoke to, I forget who I spoke to, and he said, well, there's grants for this kind of stuff. So she
This is what we
agreed,
talked about, yeah.
Right.
this is-
agreed to hold off and talk to Westchester Planning to see if we can get some grant money for.
This is, yeah, this is something.
And it
I think
wasn't
they're-
urgent to do it
But
right
they're
away, but
required, this is something that they're required to do, I think, with the county or state
I
or
think the
something.
state is eventually gonna require that we digitize.
But it's important that we have that because it's also, productivity issue. It'll be more,
Mhm.
having that money in there, and I spoke to her about this as well.
Yeah.
And I think the quality of Lewisboro data is lower than
Yeah,
far. It's
now,
not good.
yeah, so,
But this ties into certain
It's a problem.
statute, this is certain state requirements that they have to comply with, and they need like we're talking about all the other,
Yeah.
software and stuff, so that those programmings, they need to have that one way or the other.
yeah, so I'm gonna discuss, she was away when I had that discussion with her prior to what's going to budget.
Yeah,
And it was agreed that we would pursue the grant, and when I saw this in here. I took it out, but I left the message to talk to her about it, just to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned the grant opportunity, so we should, just make sure it gets it one way or the other.
Yeah,
right, if we don't get the grant, we need this software, this tool.
It's updating.
Right,
data.
it's really essential. I strongly feel that we should support this with this.
Mhm.
If we can't get the grant one way, we should get it another way and.
Well, is there anything, if we put that in the budget and purchased it, is there anything foreclosing us from going after a grant and?
Getting
Reimbursing on
reimbursed
that?
for it.
well, then it's ready in the budget. So, yeah, you could put it in the budget, of course, it's gonna impact your
No, but I mean, can we reimburse, can the town
No.
reimburse us that we get it, so.
I mean, it goes back into, it goes into the general fund, right, to pay. the
No,
invoices
you're
today.
saying, can you still go after the grant?
Right.
But that's unusual. I mean, there are some grants that.
Well, there's certain grants where we have to lay out the money first and
Yeah,
then
but
go.
you have to be approved
Reimbursed.
first.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's what you-
Yeah, okay.
Board of Review has just gone $150 higher, software support is gone 400 close to, education conference dues is $50 higher, publication is 0 line, maybe I should delete it. Mileage has gone, remained the same, so overall it's gone from 15,000 to 41,000, and mostly it's the salary increase.
Actually,
And then,
no,
oh
that's
yeah,
a
then
subtotal.
it's 15,730, so it's the net out, it's
171,000 versus 209.
100 and what?
Go down the line. No, the total for the assessor's office.
That's 248.
Okay.
In 2023.
You were reading the subtotal for point
Yes.
four, for that,
So
got it.
from 170 to 109 to 184, she's reduced from 171 from previous year to 184. This is based on the salary. This is, I already reduced 3%. Welfare benefits is based on number of employees that we have up there.
Yeah.
Town clerk is same 4%, deputy town clerk. So this webmaster, we've reduced it to 1250 and moved that money over there because that was negotiated with supervisor. And we've reduced from 2,500 to 12,250, and 1,250 have already been moved up here to deputy town clerk and plus 4% raise. So that's why it's going up to 62,901. Longevity is 3,500 to based on number of years of employees up here. Office supplies, same 800.
You probably got quick into
Yes,
benefits.
I think it has just changed $2,000 up. Drastically, where would it be?
It sounds so
Town
bad.
code updating
Yeah.
for 2,500. Town clerk same, these are the same figures for every department, so I'm not going over them. Attorney for the town has stayed the same 75,000.
You're not worth $1 more.
Yeah, just so you know.
Can we reduce this line?
Yes, yeah, I think. we could.
Can we reduce this by 20,000?
Whether it's running consultant,
Okay.
Put a business casual.
Yeah.
It's, yes, so it's not drastic increase anywhere, so I'm not going over these lines, it's the same. Engineering, planning board and town retainer, 57,500 hasn't changed. Engineering, election office stipend, $1,600 hasn't
Yeah,
changed.
we need that.
Election service for county, 950,9847, a little change. Social security is based on the percentage. Road management office stipend is same, it hasn't changed. Record scanning and filming hasn't changed. Record storage.
is still a thing?
Believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Record storage, it has gone a little higher, so overall it hasn't much. So from 5,800 to 6,505. Shared services, which is Joe's line, facilities manager, we don't have facilities manager, that's why it's 0. Account clerk, it's the same. Maintenance worker, he was asking for an additional worker and it included the rate hike for next year, but he's reduced, he's adjusted 45,000 over there, and he's coming up from just the increase, salary increases, so he's not taking into consideration anything else, so we cannot cut that margin. Seasonal help, he's asking for 11,500 and he says it's essential, so we have kept it up here. Overtime is reduced by 4,000, close to $4,000 up here. And longevity is based on the number of employees who get longevity in that department. That's individually calculated. Electricity, it's same, heat and fuel, it has been same. I don't think he has
Yeah,
changed.
I'll just say if
anything.
anyone has any questions on
Yes.
this, you don't have to go
He
through.
said the only thing that changed was salaries
Yes.
in his presentation, so we can go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Yes, so he was anticipating one more new person because of that, he reduced his cleaning services earlier to 16,000. But when we cut down this budget to 45,000 more, he increased it by 6,000, so we again back to 22.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
so
yeah.
that's why that increase came in picture. Alarm monitoring, we haven't used the whole budget, like we always budget 8,000, but the expenses are close to 4,000, so that's why we reduced it to 4,000. These are the same figures for this department. Publication advertisement is 1,000 increase. LES postage and town home postage. So postage overall has gone higher for the cost. The overall cost has gone higher, so we cannot do anything about it. And
What do we mail? What do we mail?
and the lease is due next year, sorry.
What do we mail?
Tax bills, notices, court notices.
Dog license.
Well, that's for the townhouse only.
Well, no, was Elliot townhouse, she had there.
Yes.
Oh, there's a separate, yeah.
Yes. So the overall cost of copier, postage and all these machines,
Yeah.
these machines have gone higher.
Yeah.
So we have to take into account the contract is due next year, so let's hope it doesn't blow our budget.
So is the postage stuff, is that all like statutory that we're required to do?
Postage,
I believe so. I believe it's.
I'm just going from the
I mean,
premise.
well,
It's your mailings. They're your mailings that are going out for whatever you're.
yes.
The reason I mean, because, litigation stuff, most everything is electronic filing, so the
Yeah,
the need to mail things has
Yeah.
gone down an
Right.
incredible amount over the last, number of years. So I don't know if this statutory requirements we have to
But
mail stuff out.
like for planning, when there's, notification within whatever, how many feet, that has to be put in on. So
Yeah.
Right, so you have, with dog licenses, tax bills.
Yeah, for our friends at home, the dog licenses are important to renew.
Twice a year, you send out. You send them out, like, 8,000.
Yeah.
So central.
I mean, it's
printing and
something
mailing.
to take a look at. See if
Yeah, I
it's
just don't know if anything's changed in the law, because.
Digital.
So the postage cost this year has also, it's higher, that's why it's budgeted a
I
little
mean,
higher.
Yeah.
The postage is equivalent. The postage is equivalent to the increase in all the town employees. You look at the numbers that way, That's what those dollars, right? No, the increase, no, I mean, that's what $20,000.
You mean the
I'm saying.
percentage?
The percentage, yeah, the percentage, yeah.
Okay, that's random.
No, I'm saying that's what $20,000 is.
All right.
Moving right along.
Services, where do we go
Technical
up?
services is zero, videotaping is same 5,200, it hasn't changed, computer equipment 21,000 hasn't changed. License fees 26,000, so all of these values haven't changed, if
Okay.
you want to see any of one of them.
No.
Social security is based on the people. Cable TV coordinator has reduced $3,000, cable TV part-time staff, that's 2,000 equipment supply, nothing much changed. It has actually reduced from the previous year. Property and casualty insurance. Okay.
That's insurance.
That's
There's
the
nothing
insurance,
we
they're
can do
expecting
about it.
10%, I've budgeted out here 8%, but I've budgeted the rest 2% in the other line, which I'll show you as fund balance restoration.
Mhm.
Maybe we'll use it, maybe we'll negotiate better, let's see.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we are expecting next year. At
Can we
8%.
adjust, if there's an opportunity to adjust deductibles on anything that, with the property and casualty.
Well, we don't want to leave any lines in conflict.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, if there's,
Yeah,
if there's a slight adjustment to a deductible,
Yeah.
it offsets based upon the premium. It's worth just, is
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, 9 months, yes.
See that and
that for all of it? Okay.
So they're,
Everything is,
decide your count too, right?
so they're actually expecting it to be 10%. I budgeted for 8. So we are planning to negotiate somehow and we have budgeted 2% in the contingent account for this same line. Okay, Association of Town, it's based on the letter that I received from Association of Town on how much they take the contribution. Sustainable Westchester is the same, it hasn't changed. Judgment and claim is 1,800, it has gone down to 0. We are not expecting any sort of judgment and claims next year. MTA tax, I'm budgeting a little higher due to certain reasons, and I think it should be within the budget next year. Fund balance restoration, as I
Like
said,
we spoke about.
yes.
You see, you were asked about
Yeah.
that, the fund balance.
Yeah.
factor.
yeah, then I can do it.
So I've budgeted 92 and then I added up 2,500 to come into 95. That 2,500 is for town insurance 2%. If we are not able to negotiate or if there's unexpected, we have more vehicles, we need more insurance, so that
Right.
we need little, so but initially I budgeted for 92, now 95.
What else do we use the fund balance restoration number for?
So I'm assuming that even if 2 employees retire, I don't want to blow any of the budget lines. So we can use it for any line.
Right
which is
now,
on the
it's
budget.
essentially a
Okay, got it.
contingency line,
Right. Yes.
because we have no need to add to the fund balance.
Yes,
Today,
right,
right?
yes.
So that's.
Yeah,
what
it's a
you-
contingent line
Yeah.
where if the insurance or health benefit or anything which goes over the budget, which is expected. Some variations will be there, so that's why I'm budgeting. And I'm assuming if even two people retire with 10 or 15 years of experience, our payout is extremely good.
So we would use this instead of going. into the
Yes.
fund.
So we would use it. So for example, Highway 2 employees retires, their payout was close to 30,000 each
Yeah.
employee. So we're looking at 60,000 right away.
Yeah.
So they, Park and Rec suggested they might have somebody to retire next year. So taking that into consideration.
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
Good.
Police hasn't changed much, just the salary increase is based, that's based on the contract
Contract.
chief. And then youth officer, there's no youth officers for us, part-time. It's based on their union contract negotiation. And was he asking for another additional help? No. What happened?
This one person is gonna replace Sarah Holmes.
So youth officer
Okay,
is
yeah.
paid
So he
by
was asking-
county now, pays for that.
School pays the
School,
county.
yeah.
Yes. So he's definitely asking for a half-year full-time position. And I think he's budgeted up in the part-time position or there's some
No, it's
America who's like,
No, it's a full-time position.
so he budgeted last year full-time position. That's why it was 222.
But he
And
didn't get
this
the
year,
full-time position.
yes,
But they
but he never
hired,
did.
right?
Yes. So this next year he's budgeting,
One.
Yeah,
next year he's budgeting half-year position. That's why it's a little lower than the previous year. So training is 3,000 extra that he's asking. Court office is 3,000 again. Longevity is based on the union contract or handbook. Overtime is he's asking for a little higher based on the union contract negotiation. So other than that, I think mostly he's budgeted. There was a request saying that he might need to have an expert for computer system. And he's taking someone's help right now. So he's budgeting 5,000 extra for the next year. Together with Joel, I guess.
yeah, with Joel, they.
Joel suggested
yeah.
that he might need 5,000 next year for that computer system update, which is very essential for him. For the department. West hasn't changed. Definitely nothing changed. Office expenses, he hasn't changed. So mostly he hasn't changed any of his lines unless uniform, which is based on the union contract. And copier lease. So this line, copier lease, we have removed it from here and we have added up to the other copier line. So there's no net change. So overall, his salary increase is the only change. Other than that, he's not expecting much. And then this $5,000 up here, computer system.
Just from an economies of scale standpoint, our software stuff, our copiers and our office supplies. Are those purchased so that as a town are they purchased, or is each department purchasing them so they're not?
Each department.
So,
But the software, like the thing that's mostly common would just be like the Microsoft.
Right, the
stuff.
Office
That's all common.
365.
That's all common. But
Yeah,
then besides that, generally each department,
has their own.
each
Yeah.
department has their own, department specific stuff that's not really shareable, but
or
like-
even just for whatever this, any kind of service, I'm just seeing if there's any opportunity for economies of scale based
Sure.
upon.
Consolidate.
As office expense and copier stuff, as negotiating one lease as opposed to.
So
Throughout
there is a
town.
lease for postage. I think that machine.
Well, I think
lease
machine
that-
leases are all
Yes.
consolidated with.
Yes, together.
the company.
For the whole town.
Yes.
It hasn't
So that's-
It has the guy who walked in. if you want.
Sorry. Yes, it hasn't changed since
Oh, it is, yeah.
2019, yes.
So leases, copier leases, townwide, it's all under one, the same.
Yeah,
vendor.
you get them
Yes.
directly from Minolta to.
Maybe the mic.
contractors.
He said for our friends at home, we get it directly from Minolta
Right,
For the
that's back
entire town.
through New York State contract.
through a New York State contract.
Right, that service.
Moving on, yeah, we skipped to
So
that, that's all.
all
I'm
these are
saying.
same. Dog control, she's asking for $1,000 to attract more people to come and do the dog control officer.
Right.
Office supplies, $750 hasn't changed, these values hasn't changed. Building
Inspector.
building inspector is based on the 4%,
Wait.
same deputy building
Wait,
inspector is.
So the dog control officer, where are we at?
We hired one, correct, that's going to work until.
We will hire somebody at the next meeting, for an interim basis until the end of the year. See how she likes us, how we like her.
Okay.
Hopefully she'll like
All right.
us.
So as a get acquainted last quarter budget, basically, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Got it. Got it.
We're not building.
Building inspector is 110 to 150 based on his,
Contract.
I think his, yes. Deputy building inspector is 92 to, it hasn't changed for,
Right.
yes, this has gone down to 0.
Yeah, that's not 92,979, but with that step function within the agreement, it's actually 80% of that.
This is supposed to be 76 through May and then 86.
That's the step down that he's referring to.
Well, it's for the full year, so 80% for year one.
Yeah.
Unless we have a separate side letter of agreement with the union to bypass that, which has happened in the past.
Got it.
Code enforcement officer, it's gone down to 0. Senior office assistant is $2,000 increase. Longevity is based on the contract or handbook. Clerical, it's been the same. Office expenses, I think plan review and services is the only one that he's asking for $5,000. Other than that, meeting and education has gone down.
That review services would be external third party plan review.
Okay.
Yeah.
Computer service and training, it's gone up to $2,000 and gasoline, based on whatever expenses we have this year. Publication hasn't changed and professional dues hasn't changed.
So it's
question.
flat. compared to-
Why did you need the $5,000 for outside consultants if typically if an outside consultant is required to absorb by the fees?
No, like, for example, we hired Labella
Yeah.
to the Mercedes,
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
that's the reason.
Right.
If we're in a situation where it's too complex of a job and we can't manage it because it would take us too long.
Yeah.
Which is what happened with Mercedes when Jeff was here,
Yes.
we outsourced.
No, I know that. My
But
question
is
is.
the-
The fees are in,
If he's in revenue,
yeah, you,
the fee receipt is gonna be.
The fee, but in this case,
we're paying for it, but then we're taking it elsewhere.
no, to just clarify, so right now we are not taking for the outside consulting fees unless we have an agreement with the applicant. We're not automatically billing them.
That doesn't.
Okay,
That's.
We could do that, but we would have to, yeah. So for example, we had an applicant.
so this is just,
I thought it was covered that we would pay them out of the fees that we were collected, so it would reduce
Well,
in
so
our ultimate
there's revenue,
income. Right. it would
there's
reduce-
revenue, right?
Right.
Revenue hits our general fund,
yeah,
and then we pay the invoice.
so we're still, I mean, we get the normal building
Yeah.
fees.
With the normal.
But in this case, we're just anticipating that there could be some technically complicated stuff that we might have to call on
Correct,
for this service,
right,
which it looks to be a fairly minimal level.
right.
Right, but I
See the point of putting it.
don't see it either,
Why
Where
not?
else?
because it gets paid, it's a fee that gets paid out. of
No, but
revenue.
the revenue won't change from what they're saying. The building fees are the building fees.
Right.
But if we run into a situation where it's technically, a complex commercial building that, our guys should not.
So Mercedes, for example,
They need the
we-
ability to call on somebody.
yeah.
We
because like-
expended money for it, I understand, but
Or
didn't-
agreed, we have
was
put-
there a budget line for it
No.
that year?
At the time, no.
See, that's the
But-
thing, though, if
but-
the town needs to hire an outside agency, to me, that's on the town. And so
It is
that
on-
should come out of our revenue, whatever it
It
is.
does,
It does.
the revenue's not changing.
Then it doesn't need to be there.
But then it needs to come
Well,
from
no,
the
no,
town.
this,
Time out. It
And
needs to come
that's-
from, you are, it needs to come from the town board to decide to hire that company to spend the money. Which is what we do with Mercedes. With Mercedes, it was a resolution saying, okay, we need to spend
Okay, how much did we spend?
$14,000 at the time.
I'd rather do it on a case by case basis.
well,
That-
it just
that
means
just
if
adds
you,
to-
it's fine, if you don't put in the budget, it just means it comes out of unreserved, or the fund.
It's gonna come out, yeah, either way, it's coming out of our general fund.
It's not coming out of like somebody's salary or.
This is just a way to track.
Why would it come out of the revenue from the
No,
department?
revenue's revenue,
Revenue.
revenue's not changing.
And
Okay, so we'll leave it in for right now, but we,
What happens is if you hire a company, and you spend $5,000 and it's not in the budget, now you've exceeded, it's an expense that you haven't accounted for. And ideally, you want to account for your expenses ahead of time in the budget. That's why we do budgets.
Yes, so it's better to have a line rather than reducing the revenue because it helps us keep a track of how much is the expense. So if we deduct it from the revenue or put it as an expense, it's the same thing.
Right.
It's the $5,000 difference. It doesn't make a anything else, but it's good to have a line to track it.
Okay.
Registrar of Vital Statistics stipend, it hasn't changed. Social Security Administration, it hasn't changed. Oh, this is advanced EMS.
Yeah.
So
I'm budgeting 350 based on, they have three options. They're gonna come and present it to us, Flycard, EMS.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So their first option is that they go for, I have the numbers jotted up. So there, I have budgeted for the highest number as of now. All the town needs to come up with a conclusion and they need to approve it. So let's
So,
see what's the
yeah.
majority of approval coming.
Yeah, so let me just explain what happened. I went to the meeting, I know there was just a hospital on this. They want to add a fourth ambulance and the required staffing for it. And that will increase the budget more than the regular increase they had estimated. Webs,
The county.
EMS, no, not the county. Sorry, this is Westchester EMS, it's the advanced life. So let me back up. Westchester EMS provides advanced life support services.
Right.
So they're the ones that are stationed over they usually have a vehicle stationed at LVAC. And we pay every year towards that service. We pay 200.
Right.
So this is,
Oh, yeah, this is spreadsheet.
there's the spreadsheet that we have. We pay 274,
Can you
300.
can you blow that
to
up?
have that particular car
Yes,
in our town.
No.
so it's shared by.
It's
the-
shared for municipalities. It's
Okay.
shared service. Their car, typically there is a car in town, right?
Because
And-
we have room for it, or?
Yeah, we have room for it. They want to station it. So if there's a call where,
It also is beneficial for us if it's there in that if someone has an emergency
Yeah, of course.
close to home.
Yes.
but the point is, their regular existing budget that we pay for, like. we paid
Was 274 for 2020,
274, it's gonna go up to 2302.
the
Okay,
normal increase.
that's the normal increase that the supervisors, we met and discussed it. And that's what's gonna go into the budget,
And
right?
the
And we do
cost-
this every year. This year, they wanna add an additional car. And myself, Warren Lucas, North Salem, and Bedford, the control for Bedford was there. We thought with the way budgets are, it would be too much to do it for a full year, so there's an
Yes.
option to do it for a half year.
So that will cost.
So they're gonna come in and talk to us about that
Mhm.
on October 10th.
So this,
So
so
what towns does the I'm sorry, I was
So-
looking at you this whole time.
Okay.
Can you share that?
Sure.
Oh.
Oh, it's not on Zoom?
no,
Sorry.
1 second.
Yeah, shut up.
Can you expand it?
Um,
Can you help me share this? Oh, here.
yeah, at the top right, share screen.
Share
Here,
screen, this one. Okay. Is it?
Yes, thank you.
So, yeah, zoom in a little more.
These are the town that we are participating with EMS.
Okay.
So last year, 274 was the actual value that we budgeted and that we pay to them. So every town is paying their portion.
and that's
So-
predicated upon what?
Sorry,
Population,
It's
or geography?
Population, geography, there's multiple factors. I have the report.
The numbers
hard
are what
copy.
the numbers are.
Okay.
Yeah,
so there are three numbers that we are looking at. One is where we don't have any new car. And just the surplus increase, which is 302K,
Okay.
this number.
302, right.
302,896. But there are two more options where they're saying we're budgeting for half a year and 326,457 is for half year having a car plus the increase from 274. Okay, that number is 326,457. Then they have the third option where they have the increase plus a car for the whole year. And that number is 350,017. So I budgeted 350,017 based on what is approved by all the towns together. So once they present, town board has an opportunity, do we go for no increase? Do we go for half a year increase or we go for a full year increase for one
So this is,
Additional, they're gonna give us a reason why they feel that we need a second part.
Yes, that's why,
Yes.
so rather than you guys hear from me, I want you to hear from them, so they're gonna come to the
so
meeting.
this is now 3 cars in the
They have-
geographic area and then going up to 4.
Fourth car that's available at all times.
So that means another increase in coverage and another,
Decreased response times and increased coverage, exactly. Yeah, that's the main thing, and they had a bunch of graphs and statistics on the course of the year, and this is what led to them saying we should do this.
Okay.
Just to improve
Okay, so
service.
So if we go, yes, if we go just normal, there's a $20,000 increase from the previous year. We are just talking full numbers. If we go for half a year, there's a $52,157 increase net. And if we go for the full year, there's a $75,717, including the raise that they're asking for 10%, which is non-shown up here.
And all the towns have to agree,
Majority.
Majority, I believe, yeah.
right?
It's a majority, yeah.
Understood.
Is
that's-
is that raise flowing through to the actual EMS workers? Because I have
Mhm.
some input that says they're paid very low
they're
and. I'm hoping-
egregiously underpaid.
Yeah, I should, that's a better statement.
Yeah,
So-
the way,
so
the
did they-
Westchester EMS folks?
Yes.
Specifically, okay.
Yeah, and
Well,
probably,
actually, the whole
a
state,
whole-
yeah,
but
but
care
you're-
most about our own people.
right, so I'm just curious, did they make clear that, you know, that was flowing through?
I have to look at the charts, I forget, but I think there was, the
I'd be
regular,
able to
how
just do that.
increase.
Had a peek into
Has a
that.
salary increase.
so Westchester EMS is a not-for-profit corporation, it has
Correct.
nothing to do with Westchester County, it's just
No.
in Westchester, right?
Right,
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so
so stop sharing.
yes, I'll share the other screen.
Oh.
So that's why I budgeted 350. It's based on the town decision, what they go and the other town mutually, so we'll go with that. So I budgeted the highest number and.
Worst case scenario.
Worst case, that it
and
gets
then-
Well, no, you can't say worst case,
Well,
it's
the
the
best
best
cases,
case
sorry.
scenario for
From a budget,
for the safety and
I'm sorry.
well-being of our neighbors.
you're right, yeah.
Yes. So I budgeted the highest value so that we are not looking for more money later on saying that, okay, we budgeted wrong and now we're looking for 31,000 more.
Right.
Got it.
So that's the reason, drug prevention and abuse, it hasn't changed, it's the same value, 6,500.
And we're going to be getting a second representative to have a fuller voice.
Yes.
And
And
we've had some more events.
And we're gonna
in
push
town.
out for more events,
We've got for grant money for that, because you're not, Tammy's looking for
Yeah.
grant money for that.
Okay.
and she's looking to speak, have a call.
I've already spoken with her
Okay, good,
at great length.
okay, good.
So highway superintendent is the same value, it hasn't changed. Secretary to superintendent, which is Cheryl, it has gone as per the union. Longevity has
Just got a
gone,
typo.
okay.
Secretary.
Longevity has gone $2,000, because, Peter is retiring. So social security, Medicaid, everything is based on the similar values and street lighting is same, it hasn't changed. Recreation, so recreation, there's no supervisor of recreation, that's why 0 senior office assistant is, Nicole Caniola.
Yeah, those are union
You,
increases,
union or non-union,
except the.
except,
recreation.
senior, recreation supervisor, right?
Right,
Okay, everything else is union. Part-time clerk, she's asked for 28,000 extra. She usually budgeted for 2,500. And we reduced it in the morning. We sat with Park and Recs in the morning and we came down to 20,000. Longevity, it's same.
Why?
She wants to add up a new position, right?
yeah, she wants a new position, but she could phase it in later and
Yes.
I think
and part of it is because of the potential retirements that are coming up.
Okay.
Yes. But she hasn't changed much up here, just 7,750 up here and 1,500 in brochures and 500 up here. Postage and bulk mailing, that has gone higher for every department, that's.
Yeah.
Education collaborative member dues is she's increased up by $1,000 and then these are based on the salaries. Park maintenance workers, she went up to 178,600. She's asking for an additional worker and the union raises, right?
Yeah, there's additional maintenance
Yeah.
worker that she's looking for.
And some hiker, yes.
Do we lose someone or she just wants an additional?
If we need somebody,
71100.
No, did you ask, did we
Do we
lose somebody?
Somebody that she's trying to replace, or she's trying to get an additional
There is a
person?
part timer,
So she wants a third groundkeeper.
that's phasing out.
Okay.
And we need to,
Yes,
yeah,
Got
yes,
And then move to objective.
and that includes promoting to caretaker.
yes. So she needs a third ground. Yes, that's how she budgeted.
Wow.
Overtime is gone $2,000 based on the salaries, and seasonal is the same. Longevity, there's no longevity paid anyone for parks. Equipment hasn't changed, actually reduced. So we are not, yes.
Yeah.
She's reduced those lines and small tools as she discussed in her budget.
Yeah, she went through.
Yeah, most of these lines, so I'm not going into.
Just the ones that we changed today with her.
$8,000 for picnic tables from 4,000
Say it again?
or picnic table budget.
Yeah, she mentioned
A
replacing.
lot of them need to
They
be
have-
replaced.
Yeah.
And these are
they're
the newer
falling
ones
apart.
that are handicap accessible, like wheelchair accessible. And,
The one time.
It's been an issue for a long time.
Long overdue.
So there's no drastic change up here, so I'm going more forward. Day camp counselor, she's asked for 447 based on, she was expecting the rate hike and everything, so we negotiated in the morning and we convinced her to
And
go
these
down to
are-
390.
Right, these are, they're below minimum wage, and she wants to increase
Yes.
the minimum wage.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing she'd like to do is increase the quality of the counselors.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
Right,
Well,
well, she's better losing good people, losing good people over
Yeah.
to new range
So-
towns and things.
So what is the 30% increase get us by way of council? That's a 90,000, 30%.
Well, it brings them what to minimum wage?
So initially she was asking for increased hourly rate. That's what it is. Now she's reduced that value.
So what is
She's
it?
gonna keep it same.
Which is what?
It'll probably be
Um,
minimum
so-
wage.
The New York State one, which I think goes up for
To-
16,
yeah.
17 stuff, yeah.
Not much.
Yes, so that was a change she made today, yeah.
Yes, so we went through the numbers and we
Yeah.
came up with 390.
Go to the next,
Aquatics, nothing changes, and then the next change is Team Trek, which is 172. So she wants to add on one new bus, and Team Trek 2, she wants to add a new
So
program.
that's
for
got a
the team.
revenue component.
Right.
Yes, so she's increased, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, so she has increased the revenue portion for it, but I don't know how sufficient would it be. So.
Well, I think her point was if they don't fill the bus,
They
they don't run.
Yes.
So if they, it will definitely be cash
And
positive.
the other thing is, she's not having counselors in training, no more CITs.
So
What
that's why-
she's doing is creating a new program for teen trucks too, to give them.
Something to do.
Something to keep them out of trouble.
So we went down to lifeguard and we reduced, she was asking 179, we reduced 14,000 and we came back to 165. And then same gate attendance and maintenance, she was 24, we reduced it to 27. So there was no more margin up here, so these are the same lines that she discussed in her budget.
What was that? Go up,
Mhm.
well, okay. Other supplies?
It's probably the propane for the,
no, the propane, she has a new line item,
okay.
right? Did she put in a new line item? for
For
propane?
propane.
Yeah, she did.
Yes,
Where is that?
I would have to look through it.
Just so we can find out what other supplies are.
Search.
Okay,
But
if she mentioned, I can check.
I thought that's
But
what she.
it's,
Yeah, I thought it was.
718-00470.
I thought she said it was.
Maybe on the other.
No, she didn't mention any comments on that. I can look.
I thought she said that. Something about the building when she was here. It got.
Yeah. Anyway, we can,
Yeah, just get,
We have to
yeah,
supply it for the summer to the,
if we just get confirmation, that's what.
we never used to supply it, now we have to supply it, so.
yes.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way we can attract.
Tennis instructor, tennis equipment.
Just included if
Give
you
up
rent
this
out, you
thing.
mean?
Almost
Comes with the
$3,000 difference in instruction. So. If you go down, I'm just going down with the major portion because she already presented her budget.
Right.
Yes.
Part-time leader, she was asking for 85, we reduced it to 83. So there's not much changes, $2,000 change that she's looking right now. And then everything else is almost the same. There's no major line. If you want to see any line, please let me know. Yes, so these are based on the salaries. Adult and family activities is the similar way, nothing drastic. So day camp bus drivers, so we discussed with her in the morning and we came down to 66,000. We reduced by 7,000. And the last is towns, this one is town subsidy, this is library. So we have asked library to reconsider and reduce the value. So I budgeted 12%, so she was asking me last time that if night shift, she wants to budget for 12. If I reduce my budget for night shift from 15 to 12, she might consider doing it as well. And if there's any other additional cost that she can cut down on this, because her budget has increased almost like 12% from.
Yeah, we have to go back and chart it. That's
We couldn't get hold of her today, so that's why it's not reduced. Probably we'll look into it if we can have some.
8% increase.
yeah.
Yes, so we'll look into if there's any other margin to go forward with it. And other than that, these are all very standard costs. Firework, just $2,000. Social Security, Medicaid is the same. Planning secretary, it's gone up to 4,000. Extra hours is the same, not drastically longevity based on the same contract, and I don't see any other office expenses going drastically high.
They need, Kirsten's talked about the desperate need of some like shelving in there. They have like all the plans and all the furniture they need. We have no way to put stuff away.
That's out of budget, so, yeah, yeah. If that's what she needs, yeah, she needs to put in a request to. Us, maintenance, that guy. Yeah.
Then nothing drastically changed, so I'm not going through. All
We've already provided some. But yeah, so if she wants it, she just gotta ask, she's asking you, she should come.
Okay,
Well,
Planning.
yeah, so, okay, great.
It's all the same.
it's all the same, most
Yeah.
of the values,
Yeah.
planning board and everything, and wetland inspector didn't change. Environmental construction didn't change, recycle. 1,900, not much changes, dumpster and catering went up to a little amount, and composting is the one which town board approved, so that's why we budgeted to 13,500.
Yeah.
On the recycling, we sent a note to you about this, we had a difficulty in keeping that staffed. For sure, and obviously, I mean, it's minimum wage and it's 3 hours on a Saturday, so it's not like a real home run for folks, and it's you're standing there in the winter time and all that. So at the very least, it may be a little bump on the hourly, but I actually, and the committee is at the point where it would feel like we should offer this as overtime hours to, highway staff or something. Because one of the issues we have is also kind of ownership, like the yard is a highway yard, and yet, with this kind of external thing going on, there's not always a great coordination there. If it was a highway person, they would feel ownership of the operation in there and a better connection. And
But that's 3 hours of overtime.
yeah, it would be, I think we figured, another $4 grand a year.
So the people that are doing now are volunteers that get paid. Based
They're
on
not
nothing.
volunteers. Well, now we've got volunteers like doing their
It's a
best to
committee.
scramble every weekend because we don't have anybody. So we're
It
texting
had
back
been
and forth.
someone
Can you go? Can you go?
got
No, I got this,
15
I got
hours
that.
an hour.
You can't staff this place that way. And, we kind of got spoiled because we had somebody for many years who was like just there and doing it. And then ever since that, it's been hard to keep anybody there.
Gentleman who used to be there is now.
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah.
You're probably not gonna like the suggestion, but it just popped into my head. And sometimes the board requires people to do community service.
No, I hear you,
And
but
then it would be, it might be worth a conversation, is all I'm saying. Because people, let me tell you, as a criminal defense attorney, community service is part of a disposition. And then many times it has to do with DWI dispositions,
okay.
where they have to come up with 30 hours of community service. Finding a place for people to do community service is sometimes very, very difficult. So,
I mean, I I can bring it up.
It's a conversation.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it still means changing person every
I
time
know.
and coordinating that.
That's
And
true.
then you actually do have to
You're
kind of
right.
understand what's going
I
on.
said, I wasn't sure, I was
Yeah.
just, it came to my head.
I
thought
it's
it was
very
worth the
creative.
Conversation.
I definitely.
Yeah, I mean, and as far as training the person, you can have a one pager that says, okay, it's what you do, right? You can accept this and not accept that, which.
But then there's
Yeah,
then there's also oversight
but somebody's got to like
Yeah.
meet the person
No, you're
there
right.
the
and
first.
sign off
Yeah.
on it.
And then when they're done, you have to, oh, they're done, now we gotta connect with the court and like, you got another person.
No, I
Uh,
know.
it's- it's fine. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, you mentioned highway, I don't know, I mean, there could be somebody in highway, but I don't know.
I just like
Maybe
highway
maintenance, I don't know if
because
Joe-
again,
anybody-
we have had issues where like, you know, there's kind of coordination.
Yeah.
Stuff, and like, you know,
Okay.
so throwing it out there.
Was there any community for the high school, give a community service type of?
On it,
It's
Friday.
Saturday morning, everybody's got games, they have this, they got that, it's just really hard to get a kid, you know, to do that at this point. You know, or it might be good for a couple of weekends and then some starts, yeah. So.
Right.
It's a job that somebody could be doing, and why not treat it like this is a job, we should value this person that's doing this job and pay them like a real job, you know, so.
So,
Right,
everything else is same in community beautification, nothing changed. Cemetery, she's asking for $500 raise for commissioner of cemeteries, and then other than that, most of the things are similar. So I don't want to get into details.
Mhm.
This is based on the retirement numbers from state. Medical buyout, it's similar, workers' compensation hasn't changed, and disability insurance, I'm not planning to change. Cigna is the quite similar value, it hasn't changed over the years. Same, I reduced it by 3%
12%.
and budgeting 12%, yes, correct. Nothing else majorly changed in these lines, except that based on the state retirement, that number comes up. And as far as the band, serial bond and principles, all has been calculated based on what we are due for the next year. So, but I moved a little value to highway fund because it was actually appropriated for highway. So the net balance difference in debt service has not gone down. It has gone down a little 20,000-30,000 here and there, but next to next year is what, yes.
Could you just,
Shifted, yes.
could you just explain the Medicare refunds line?
Oh, those are the refund, Part B reimbursement. Part B reimbursement for all the retirees that we are supposed to pay. So that is there, yes. As per the law, we have to pay Part B reimbursement for employees which are retired from us. So that Part B Medicare portion goes back to those retirees from us. Yep. Yes, so that's a law, so we cannot change that. Other than that, everything else is similar. The most changes are in the salaries. If I talk about
so you have the percentages all the way to the right, so. it's
Yes.
11% is salary,
Salary.
salary, the equipment line went down.
That's
Differential is up 13%,
and
and that's really the line that we have,
yes, we modified this
Change, yeah.
contractual line a lot, and that's how.
that service went down.
So salaries and wages in subtotal one is non-union and four contractual is union.
Salaries and wages is all inclusive.
Everyone,
Everybody.
everyone. This is like the subtotal for general fund. It's everyone up there.
So you can't monkey with most of it.
No, it's just understanding it.
So if I go to the next line,
Tax cap.
tax cap, so our current rate is 8.44. As per these calculations, but if we can reduce it by 482, then we are under the tax cap, so 5.87% is.
We have the tax cap if you.
Yes.
If that goes to zero. the
Yes,
42.
so if that 482 goes to zero and we are good, so we are under the tax
And
cap, which
that's
is,
the money that we were talking about mostly in highway, correct?
Correct.
yes, yes.
400,
If we are
like 450.
close to 300 something, yes.
Yeah.
So we'll be left with 150 to figure out where to do and what to do, how to go about that. But if we can reduce the highway fund by some similar value and don't go for fly car, we will save like
Go for half year.
half year or maybe just don't go for
Could you explain what does half year fly car mean?
It means that instead of being a full 12 months for 2024, it'll start July
June,
1st.
July first.
Oh, we started.
Yes, and if we can,
So phasing it in
Yeah.
at mid-year is what you're saying.
Yeah, you
I
start
just
July
didn't know,
1st
because it
with
just
the new
seemed,
car.
funny, like, if it has a value and it has a safety value,
Driver.
like, I need,
I think it's-
I don't know.
Not much within our control per se, we have an opinion, but the towns, the majority of the towns have to agree.
Right.
you know, just take it.
So if we're the sole ones that say no, absolutely not, we want to do a half year, and everybody else wants to do a full year. And for pay and for pound, that's what,
Yeah.
if you enter into agreement, that's what it is.
Is it ready to come online now, or we don't know what it's gonna be?
He's gonna be in person, right?
Oh,
He's
Is
gonna
the,
be
is
here.
the car and the person ready?
Oh.
In other words,
oh, I.
it's not like a new ambulance, it's gonna come in 6 months from now.
Let's see the presentation.
Yeah,
on
let's,
that.
okay.
Yeah, we're not gonna discuss it right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
We can't,
Ten
it's
forty-one,
beyond our control.
I think we put everybody at home to sleep by now.
Yes, so the difference is 5.87, that's what we're looking at.
Okay, so we have, yeah, so now this is where we are.
Cut out
Yes.
for-
You guys have time to review this and come up with some ideas of what you'd like to see done.
Is this,
And
this is the draft kind of, because your timetable to, what's your timing,
timetable
statutory time
is-
to present the official
Okay.
tentative. To I guess
so
the January,
by 10:30, which is county law, that's October 30th,
Right, yeah.
I have to file the tentative budget to town clerk. So that's the next milestone. And then the town clerk will present that set tentative budget to the board by 11:10.
Have it memorized. And
And then we have until right now the public hearing for the. So then we go into the preliminary budget, so we have time to make further adjustments after the tentative. That becomes a preliminary, which then goes in front of the public on November 27th. County law is by 12:10,
got it.
and then the adoption is 1:20.
Thanksgiving later that week, or the week before.
I think it's a 45, right? Should I have this on?
I don't know. Not really, but no, if the board agrees, we don't have public comment now, but if the board agrees to let John just go through
Right, I think
protocol.
he stayed because. you know,
Yeah, I think so.
Go through protocol and ask the board if they're in agreement.
Well, this is especially since I assume you might have something, but.
I'm learning all this.
We all agree that you should.
Yeah, I
be on
agree,
this, but-
it's special circumstance, so.
I appreciate it. I've been wanting to leave over an hour ago, but it was educational. I didn't want to interrupt Peter, but I wanted to comment on some of the things he had to say. And I guess now is my chance to say it. He had said it was about 110,000 to pave. That's to pave. You're not always just gonna pave. Sometimes you need to mill and pave, and that's 170 a mile. So everyone was like, oh, we're in good shape, but that's only if you're paving. If you have a ton of potholes, a beat up road, like I live in Lake Katona, you're not gonna mill it because there's nothing under that. We oil and graveled it for years. A more main, thicker road, you are going to mill. So everyone was, excited that, 110, it's not always gonna be 110. Some roads are going to be more. The other thing, I was like cringing, biting my tongue when you talked about the repair line reducing it. I work on 10 different department vehicles, parks and rec, sewer, police, building maintenance, building department. Every department I deal with at my job, everyone runs out of money in their repair line. And I think it's gonna be 12, 13 guys. If the equipment's broken, and I don't have money in the repair line, I can't have them walking around. Most of them are regular cab trucks. I'm not gonna jam 3, 4 guys in a regular cab truck. 3 would be uncomfortable, 2 would be reasonable. If I run out of equipment, I can have all the guys in the world, I can't do the job. So please do not reduce that repair line. And I thought Peter had an excellent point that the CHIPS money shouldn't be like guaranteed, counted on, used like That should be like, oh, we can do 1 extra mile with this. Oh, like we plan on doing 6, 7 miles a year. And that's the plan. And then, oh, we have this little bit of extra. What got washed out? We had a bad storm. We thought this, we could wait 1 more year. Like, I feel like the chips is part of the plan and it should be like a bonus. Because the town,
Like a rainy day fund.
yeah, kind of like it's like you're relying on it. I feel like that's not, it's been working sort of. Oh, everyone in this room knows we're behind on paving.
Yeah.
Where the money comes from, I plan on working together to figure it out. But I don't think it should be like, that's what we plan on using. Oh, we can do 1 mile with the chips. It should be, how can we get this done with our money? And oh, we could do a little extra with the chips, or it was a really bad winter and these roads are really shot. We could use it for that. I feel like just, we gotta like move past.
It's not only for paving.
And as Peter said, it goes up and down.
Yeah.
You know, some years it's better than others. So I really don't think we should be relying on it, like. It's almost like a crutch or like a rainy day fund. It shouldn't be part of the plan. It should be additional. And just to circle back, well, please don't take money out of the repair line. I haven't even seen all the vehicles yet. And the other thing is this past year, how many times did they drop the plow? Once. So no one was blowing drive shafts, no one was blowing clutches, no trannies were gone. Those trucks were barely used. So to cut your repair line this year, you're just gonna hurt yourself when we have a bad winter because, yeah, the salt we bought and it's sitting there and we can use it again. It's not like we bought extra parts. We don't know what's gonna happen. And the economy, the price of parts just keeps going up and up. So I think it'd be a horrible idea to cut that repair line. Thank you. Appreciate the 2 chances to
Thanks
talk.
for saying.
All right. How we going?
Take care. Okay. So-
Thank you.
Thank you everyone very much.
Yeah.
Very informative.
Okay, so next we have approval of claims, so I motion to approve the claims.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Calling of the board. Real quick, Dan. I'm Dan. I'm pointing Rich on Dan. All right, go ahead, Dan.
Oh, okay, whatever. Just note that last week there was a little event over in Hastings with a presentation by the mayor, actually, who's quite a nerd on this stuff. About low carbon concrete. It sounds very, very nerdy, but it's about different formulations that can reduce, but people don't realize that concrete, under some estimations, it accounts for something like 8% of our global carbon footprint. So it's actually an effort. In fact, the New York State just issued a law relative to state expenditures on concrete requiring lower carbon concrete. So anyway, Kevin showed up at that. Our building, I was happy to see that he came and he was quite engaged. So, which just is good to me because it means he's not there just clocking in, doing what he has to do. He's thinking about these things in long term, and you know, because this stuff is coming down, you know, to us here at some point. So that was kind of cool to see him there. And then the other thing, just to note for the public and everything, we got to get out there. We have some committee openings. It's just the housing community before this, that we need somebody there. And I think we got openings of sustainability and maybe like pedestrian as well. I'm sure there's even others. So got to keep those, you know, notices out there. So we'll put some stuff out, you know, ask Jen to put some stuff out for us. Keep looking because so it's fun work, everybody out there, if you find the right spot for yourself.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Andrew.
I have nothing this evening.
Okay, Mary.
Just to let people know, to find out what openings are, if you go to resources at lewisboro.gov.com. I believe they are. And if they aren't updated, we will make sure that they are. It's just to add on to what Dan was saying. Making a difference in your community is good, not only for the community, but yourself as well. It makes a difference in your well-being. And we care. For the new residents, there will be a reception up at Fox Valley on October 1st. Check the Parks and Rec website for that. And I'm grateful to be able to serve Lewisboro.
Rich?
Having utilized a lot of time to speak during the budget presentations, just want to thank the supervisor and for getting us to this point in the budget process. We're in a good stead here. We've got 30 days to be at the end of budget. So thank you for your hard work to get us to this point of the process and this point.
And just to add to that, I have to thank Nisha. I mean, she's not here right now, but she's spirit. She's done a great job working with me and working with the department heads and getting to where we are. So I really applaud her for all the hard work she's put into this. So thank you, Nisha, when you come back. The only other thing I have, well, a couple of things. So I have the, as was stated earlier, regarding Oak Ridge, we did send the notice for to the paper for it's the advertisement for bidding on the project. So we have until there's a 60-day period. So bids will be received until Thursday, December 7th. And then we have actually on Thursday, November 16th, there will be a pre-bid conference held at the water treatment plant for bidding contractors to attend. And then so December all requests, so those are the major dates, right? So and we'll see what comes out of those bids and then move forward with this long-awaited work. And just a couple related to the water plan, just response to Simone's comments. I think we've said this before. I think Councilman Sclaren actually, once mentioned, we need to see the data. He's a data person. And I agree. So if there is anything, Simone, specific to your water or your mom's water, let me know. If there's anything wrong, we'll take a look at it currently. The project we have here that we're going out to bid for is for PFAS mitigation. And that's what this new filtration system will take care of. But if there's anything else going on with the water quality that you're aware of, please let me know, send me water tests. I am available, you know how to reach me. It's been a long process. So we're excited that we got to this point, that we made some headway with EPA. There's still a little more work to do. Andrew's helping me with a portion of that, with the core share waiver. So hopefully that'll get us even a little bit more money. And so that's where we are. So great to get to this point and looking forward to shovels in the ground. So that's all I have. And in terms of the next meeting, it'll be Tuesday, October 10th. That's also Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Court night for you?
No.
No court night?
No.
Okay.
My next court date, October 17th.
Okay.
On Tuesday.
So Tuesday, October 10th at 7:30 p.m. at the townhouse. I may have a slight conflict, but I'll see. I'll try to get here by 7:30.
Compromise, want to push it out 15 minutes or whatever, if that helps you.
Yeah,
Fine
so
by me.
let me see if
Stay
pushed it
tuned
out
for
to-
the time.
yeah, so let me ask if we do Wednesdays, Wednesday work for folks?
We need to check our calendars.
Yeah, and I don't have my phone.
No, lines.
Oh, the Lions Club, yeah, that's right, we have that going on. Okay, so we'll leave it as October 10th, 7:30 p.m. here at the townhouse. If anything changes, we'll let folks know ahead of time. So thank you all very much over Zoom and those left here in the room. And
Is there executive session?
oh,
this evening?
sorry, yeah. There's a couple of quick items, very quick. And one has to do with real estate and one is a litigation. Just to give the board a heads up on where things are.
Update on personnel.
Yes, and there is a personnel update as well.
So moved.
So, okay. Thank you all. Have a good night.